Welcome back to the Pod of Greed.
Welcome back indeed, guys, to the one and only podcast on the internet.
On the planet.
Yeah. And you better not be listening to any others because they're fake.
Yeah, they don't exist, really. I mean, there's nothing to listen to until Thursdays.
Yeah. So this will be a fun week. There's not actually a whole bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh news, but I have something fun that is card game related. Another one of my little bonus segments since people seemed to enjoy it last time. However, there is some Yu-Gi-Oh to discuss and other things. So,
I mean, there's always going to be some Yu-Gi-Oh if you try hard enough.
Yeah. Now, before we get into all of that, of course, we would appreciate it a whole bunch if you thumbs up the video, first of all, and leave a comment or just a 1 in the chat if you're listening to the premiere.
One's up, premiere gang. Y'all know who you are.
Goes a really long way. Also have a review as well. So this is from CD Moon 0810.
CD
He
Moon.
gave us 5 stars, said, great podcast. This is an awesome podcast. The half deer, half man, all venison on the last pod had me rolling. I don't remember. That's just something you said, right? I guess. Must have been.
I don't know why I said it. Sometimes I'll just say
gets into a trance.
I'll just say things.
I think that's a good reminder that Alec isn't always to be taken seriously.
And the best part, I love that you saying that made me laugh as if I just said it. Like,
yeah.
even though it's not
I still
obvious.
remember it.
What's
I don't remember
funny.
what the context was. It's funny. I just don't remember the context.
I don't. Why were we talking about deer?
Well, at
on
any
a
rate,
card game podcast.
we appreciate that you did give a positive review.
Yeah.
It goes a long way. And liking the video, everything, the whole 9 yards, especially the channel members. I didn't check how many we had this week. I know last week we had 84, so maybe we're like closing in on 90.
87.
Yeah, something like that probably.
Maybe. Or maybe we're at 63.
Yeah, everyone was
off,
just like,
Paul.
yeah, we're done with this.
We fell off, man.
So I guess let's get started with some of the Yu-Gi-Oh news. As I said before, there isn't a load of it, but there is some stuff. So Crossover Breakers officially releases this week.
3 archetypes, 2 of which are very playable.
Yeah. So have you changed your mind at all on like picking it up or playing any of them?
I'm still mixed on the set. It's not that it's a bad set. I'm just not very interested in the archetypes. But I already know how this goes for me. I'll be at the card shop one day and I'll be bored.
Yep.
I will probably buy a few packs, and there's a chance that when I open them up, one of the archetypes will say, "Build me, Alec, build me," and then I'll just do it.
Yeah, right now nothing's spoken to me too much. I'll see though, right?
I thought Malice was cool because of like Alice in Wonderland being like the reference. You know, I like cards that reference these kind of like older like novels and stuff. Or in some way, it reminds me of like Cosmo. You know, that was I'm about to say Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and the Wizard of Oz. But then I saw how Malice plays, and I was like, oh, God.
One neat thing I did see is that apparently the pull rates have been improved on these. I know we mentioned this before. So I was thinking like maybe we could like do a little video where we like buy like 3-4 boxes and try to like build the...
Guys, I don't think you understand just how crazy an idea Paul just posited. The last time we tried to do something like that, it was for the, what was that, Rage of Ra set?
Yeah, I know. It went very badly.
We were like, we're going to buy a few boxes. I think it was like 3 boxes each, right?
Yeah, well, we tried to buy just like 3 total or something and see what we could build. The idea going into it isn't that we're going to finish the decks in 3 boxes, but more it's just like, maybe
we didn't even get close.
Playable, something, but yeah, no, it didn't work out at all.
It didn't work at all. It felt like the biggest waste of money. I felt horrible.
Because they improved the pull rates, I thought like maybe I could do it with this. We'll see. Like, I don't know. It's probably not going to happen.
But if we do it, Paul, we have to record it and put it out regardless of what we pull. The people have to know if the pull rates aren't like drastically improved.
I mean, I'm down if you're down. If you think it's something you'd want to do.
If we open it, as long as we post a video, I'm cool.
Okay. All right. Well, in other news, a couple of product delays, actually.
Oh, I have heard
some small product delays. this year we know that like the Speed Duel set was supposed to technically release like this week, and that got pushed to next week.
Oh, did people know? I didn't see a single person comment on that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody actually cared about that. But here's some ones that people might care about: the Jaden and Yubel accessories, which were going to release on January 23rd, are now releasing on February 27th.
Okay, so they got pushed back basically a full month,
which is actually kind of strange because I mean like. That whole Yubel support set came out like literally just a year from when this product is.
It feels like Yubel will be hit by the time we get this product.
Yeah, which really that would kind of soil the fun because it's like I'm a Yubel player and now they just like limited Phantom and something else, Nightmare Throne or whatever, and now my Yubel deck sucks. But here's some accessories 1 year later.
Yeah, I guess limiting Nightmare Throne makes sense. And then Spirit.
I don't know.
Well, not Spirit. The other one. What's the fusion's name?
The fusion?
Yeah.
Phantom of Yubel.
Phantom of
that's
Yubel.
the one that
That's
most people would probably prefer.
Going to one would be nice.
Or something. Also, the Blue Eyes structure deck, Blue Eyes White Destiny, went from February.
Got pushed back?
Yeah, from February 7th to February 14th. So Valentine's Day.
Okay, just a week. All right, that's not so bad. I still think that structure deck should have released in December of this year.
Yeah, I think it would have made a great little Christmas thing, but yeah, they're pushing that back.
Missed opportunity.
It kind of seems to suggest that maybe like there's been some printing troubles or something. Like nothing major, but
I guess yeah, it would have to be printing. That's the only thing I could think that would make them push products back.
Mm-hmm. It's been known to happen. Like I remember the last time that was happening, that was mostly during COVID. Like Konami just
everything was delayed.
Yeah, like so many different things were delayed. I didn't see that as like a big deal because I mean like every company had that, but yeah, so kind of neat. Also, the Yu-Gi-Oh X Sanrio or Hello Kitty collab is still going strong. Following the hit McDonald's toys, Japan, not us, but Japan is getting even more goodies. The lineup includes pin badges, key rings, acrylics, and more. So
oh wow, yeah, they're going all out. But it makes sense because from my time in like running around in Tokyo, Sanrio is stupid popular there. Just like stupidly popular.
It feels like it's very like culturally just it's in the DNA a little bit.
It feels like I think the equivalent we have would be like Barbie, but like for adults as well. Because those Sanrio stores are mostly filled with adults. I mean, there's kids, but there's a lot of grown people.
Yeah, I mean, when I think like when did Hello Kitty come out? Like it's been around for so long.
Hello Kitty. Well, see, I don't know, because it got introduced into the States at one point, but Hello Kitty is older than when we
like I actually somehow wouldn't be surprised to hear that it like came out in like the late 90s or very early 2000s in Japan. Like, they oftentimes get this stuff before us, but I was just kind of curious about that because it feels like I've been hearing Hello Kitty since childhood.
Are we talking about the brand or the person?
The brand.
Oh, okay.
Because, are you looking it up?
Oh, Hello Kitty is a British cat, and she was created in 1974.
That's like the Hello Kitty, the Sanrio, or that's
that's her. That's Hello Kitty. She's from 1974. That means she's old as hell.
Oh, she's older than we are. Jeez. Okay. Now here's some Master Duel news that's really kind of been like making the rounds. So
I don't believe you.
Have remembered last week we kind of talked a little bit about the new Master Duel ban list that's happening, and it was like hitting some hand traps and like lightning storm.
Oh yeah, okay, I do.
Interesting things, but nothing like huge, I suppose you would say.
So is the ban list came out now? Or?
Well, the ban list is going to be going into effect as of the time of somebody listening to this on Thursday. It's going to be going into effect like Thursday night or like Friday morning.
Okay.
Anyway, though, they announced some other unbans that are going to be joining those cards.
Oh, so they updated the ban list?
Yeah, this actually happens kind of commonly in Master Duel. Like, they will announce a ban list about 2 weeks before it actually goes live, and then like right before that, they'll add in a couple of cards that maybe are getting like unbanned as well, like that were previously. It's a little weird, but so the cards are Red-Eyes Dark Dragoon. Which is
really?
Huge news. They're finally putting that in the game.
Dragoon was never available in the game. I remember when we first booted Master Duel, and you could not even search for Dragoon. He was not in the game.
Right, yeah. So now it's not only being unbanned, it's going straight to 3. So,
oh, wow.
Pretty big deal. And then also Masterpiece, the True Draco Slaying King, going from banned to 3. Androgonic Diagram
I don't
from
like
1 to
that.
3.
I do not like that.
So yeah, like
Paul,
full,
I hate you.
Full True Draco. Now, I guess the caveat maybe being that there aren't as many like floodgate cards, like continuous spells and traps for them to abuse, but there's more though. Ib the World Chalice Justicar.
Wow.
From banned to 3.
You know what? I'm actually glad to see that because Ib has been.
She's been banned for. I mean, she's never been unbanned in Master Duel.
Yeah, Ib has never really been in Master Duel. And in the TCG, I mean.
And then finally, Knightmare Mermaid and Knightmare Goblin, both to 3. Just straight from unbanned to 3. You'll remember.
Goblin back?
Yeah, you'll remember these were really, really influential cards in like 2018, 2019.
That format was hell.
Yeah, it was crazy. So the response to this has been certainly electric.
That's going to be so interesting.
Yeah, so most people are like, what the heck? Like, what intern at the Master Duel dev office, like, lost their mind, right? Like, unbanning all these cards together at the same time, and it's going to just completely break the game.
Well, it won't break the game, right? I think, but it will make for a kind of chaotic first couple weeks when nobody knows what's the best thing you can do with all these cards will be, and so there'll be just lots of nonsense going on. Because has anybody been theory crafting with Knightmare Mermaid or Goblin?
Right.
I never thought we'd see them again.
Yeah. Now, what's kind of my take on this, honestly, is that it's actually a lot of stuff just not going to really matter very much. And it's not to say that it won't be played or experimented with, but I think that we're going to end up in a situation not dissimilar to things like Dragon Rulers and Zodiac, where people kind of find that the relentless march of power creep in Yu-Gi-Oh is stronger than we could ever have imagined. Because I said on this podcast just a few weeks ago, I think any card released before 2022 just doesn't keep up.
All right. Okay, relax. Because you got off how, Tree Draco doesn't have their floodgates to abuse. But we now live in a day and age where our monsters are acting as continuous spell and traps in our spell and trap zone.
Yeah, like there might be something there. Like
it's going to happen.
Some abuse to be had. I just think that like the main threat of a lot of these cards exists still, but is much easier to answer. So like for instance, with Masterpiece, it's like a walking towers, right? That's what a lot of people will say. Like it can be unaffected by like monsters and spells, let's say. But these days, I think that there's so many more moving parts to the game that answering Masterpiece will not be particularly difficult. Like let's say that you make a Masterpiece that's immune to monsters and spells. Well, nowadays, like with cards like Imperm, just standby phase Imperm, like he's dealt with. You know what I mean? And like that's something that Masterpiece didn't really have to like deal with back in the day. Also, though, like answering cards like that is even easier. There were kaijus back when True Draco was around before, but now we have things like Underworld Goddess, where you can like literally just link him away as material. Like
that's true.
There's just more answers, and I think that even in the case of like Knightmare Mermaid being able to lead into like an Orcus combo, Orcus has been at nearly full power in Master Duel for like a year now, hasn't made a dent. I don't see this changing that. Knightmare Goblin, I know, is the one that people seem to be most afraid of, but honestly, with how tight extra decks are right now, I don't know. It'll be tough for some decks to even fit him in.
That's true. 15 cards does not feel like 15 cards anymore. It feels like you got 10 cards in that extra deck, and that's it.
Yeah, because you got to like get him, like on the field with 2 monsters, and then he's just getting you a normal summon. And like, I don't want to downplay that he will be effective, but I want to suggest that he will probably just fit into the mold of what modern Yu-Gi-Oh is right now.
I mean, I expect for Knightmare Mermaid and Goblin to enable certain decks to play in a way they never played before. I don't think they're gonna make a huge splash in like the meta game in the top 5% of decks. But I think decks that were kind of like middling.
Yeah, I mean, I think these cards will give decks more toys to play with, but to me, that's probably going to be the extent of it.
Yeah, I think that's especially true for cards like Dragoon. Dragoon's a very powerful monster, but we've kind of moved away from the era of, that extra kind of cheating out of a fusion monster making a huge difference for your end turn board.
Yeah.
For your I said your end turn board, your end board.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the one that people are probably just most excited about, like as like a fun thing, is probably Red-Eyes Dark Dragoon. Like it's the anime card. Everybody kind of likes that.
I mean, it's gonna be great for not Blue Eyes players, Red Eyes players, Dark Magician players.
Yeah, even the Shining Sarcophagus deck can actually like make pretty good use of it. So, and I've been playing that a little bit in Master Duel. Haven't been too impressed by it. This might help.
Watch him out.
I mean, hey, listen, I don't think that deck can.
Yugi is our god.
Can hang too much. Now, they're also releasing White Woods or White Forest into Master Duel as well in the same update. So that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to playing that. As well as Diabells, the original Sin Keeper.
Good old lore.
And Silhouette Rabbit.
Oh, yeah, that one's fun.
Yeah, that's the one that like sets the trap monster.
Yeah, grab the trap monster. What's the one everyone uses?
Yeah, the statue, Azaroon.
Yeah,
Azaroon statue or something like that. Also gimmick puppets. So yeah, Master Duel's about to get kind of crazy. I also forgot to mention too that this is all happening before a Duelist Cup shortly after. So, that means that all of these new toys, these Knightmare cards and IB and everything else, all these new cards are going to be like showing up, and then whatever, like Shifter going to 1 and Gamma going to 1, plus like White Forest and Gimmick Puppet getting introduced, all is like happening before this one Duelist Cup. So it feels like it's going to be a real clash of just everything hitting the fan a little bit.
Dragon Master Magia, that's in
Master Duel, yeah.
I feel like someone's going to compete in the Duelist Cup and summon both Magia and Dragoon.
And that'll be cool.
And then they lose.
Probably so, but they'll get some wins.
Like, guys, if you do it, send us a screenshot. I want to see it.
I think this is also the Duelist Cup that's supposed to be like it's supposed to be ending like on Christmas Day or like shortly after or something. Like there was some controversy around that.
That's insane. Playing Master Duel all through Christmas Eve.
Well, because it's going to be that period of time or whatever where it's like there's 72 hours and you got to like race for the highest score.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Because like, guys, don't play Master Duel all through Christmas Eve. Like, there has to be something better to do with your time. And I'm not knocking Master Duel. It's just that that's a once-a-year holiday. There will be more Duelist Cups.
I mean, Konami's diabolical.
Like,
they'll have you playing.
Even if you don't want to spend time with your friends and family, there is something else.
Yeah, so that's kind of the Yu-Gi-Oh news. Not a whole bunch of it, but like Master Duel is certainly looking interesting. So, yeah. Any other card game news?
So, the Digimon card game is actually having a live stream event. What's the 5th is Thursday? So today.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's called the Global Unification Commemoration Program. You guys might recall that the Digimon TCG is syncing up the release schedule with Japan in 2025.
Yeah.
And so they're doing this big live stream today, and that's going to be at 10 p.m. Eastern time for us, so kind of late.
But it's obviously tonight if you're listening to this on Thursday.
Yeah, tonight. And they're just going to go over the roadmap for 2025, the championship series, and we'll probably see some new products or cards that we haven't seen. And before any of you Digimon players say it, I 100% do not think we are going to see a Digimon simulator.
You don't think so? Why not?
Because every time we hope we're wrong, and we're so hurt. I mean, I'm tired of being hurt.
I know we've mentioned it a lot on this podcast. So I think it's kind of a non-negotiable at this point for a card game to have a digital sim.
But this is Bandai. They make their own rules.
Yeah, I know. They've been really kind of failing on that front a bit because people these days, there's just this expectation that you kind of play your games in a hybrid form almost. You collect the cards and maybe go to locals and play, but also there's got to be some digital component to it, even if it's kind of simplified. I mean, even if it's just people doing Discord tournaments where it's technically still the physical cards, or doing webcam and voice chat. I just still feel like it's becoming more of a necessity, and
it's so weird for a property that's called Digimon Digital Monsters.
Yeah, to only really be a paper game.
Just physical. We only play with little pieces of paper in our digital game.
Yeah, that is a little strange. I mean, I hope that they have that. So I'm guessing that outside of that, then you're just maybe expecting some just the next like line of products.
Yeah, we'll see a bunch of new stuff. If you are a Digimon player or at least interested in a card game that has synced up releases between East and West, check out the live stream. It is today at 10 p.m. Eastern Time.
Cool. I have no other card game stuff, but do you?
I do.
Pokemon Theft
Well, I guess
Story?
it's like... No, so surprisingly, I could not find a new Pokemon Theft Story.
Oh, for those listening, you guys got to change that. Congratulations.
Good job, you guys.
Theft is on the
You guys did
line.
not steal any Pokemon cards this week, or at least I didn't find out about it, which means you're good at stealing Pokemon cards, and I'll still give you a clap for that.
Yeah, you got a future in this business.
No, stealing is wrong. I'm glad that for once I could not find a new story. But I did find a story about Pokemon, but it's not the physical card game.
Oh, okay. TCG Pocket?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
So this is a article that says Pokemon TCG Pocket estimated to have crossed 200 million mark, already outperforming Pokemon Sleep and Unite.
So 200
and then
million
the
mark,
subtitle
like,
just says Poke Gold.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be it, right? Like, so, yeah, I'm assuming this is like just the profits that they've made off the game.
Yeah, they say
200 million in profits or whatever.
It's only been a month, but they've made more than $200 million in revenue. That easily overtakes Sleep and Unite. They use this, they get the figures from this place called App Magic. I've never used the website. I don't know how credible they are.
I've heard of that site before. Okay.
But they said the game hit 208 million November 29th. And
oh boy, people are spending their money.
I mean, this is the same game that made $3 million, in its first like 24 hours.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean,
12 million.
Yeah, so have you broken down and spent any money on it yet, or?
Wow.
I mean,
So you just expect me to fall apart?
Well, have you?
Well, I didn't. I've actually been quite strong when it comes to this game. And
okay.
To be clear, guys, I'm very weak when it comes to microtransactions in my games. You'd be hard pressed to find a game that I am currently or will play that I won't at least make some kind of a purchase in. This is actually the first game I fully committed to not buying anything.
Yeah.
And that's because I really don't think the Pocket app gives you a good reason to spend any money. Like right now, there are people who they're spending money to collect all the cards in the very first set. But as a longtime gacha game player, I can't see any good reason to do that. This first set is like the base set of Pokemon cards. Unless when a new set comes out, they rotate this set out.
Which they might do.
These cards will be here for kind of ever.
Yeah.
So why spend money?
I saw an interesting article actually recently about Pokemon TCG Pocket where we don't know all the details about like the trading system that they're going to be adding in. But this person posited that they'll likely, have some restrictions on trading, of course. They can't make it too easy. But one of the restrictions that they were thinking of would be something like you can only trade cards for something of the same rarity. Which means like if you want, one of these Alt-Art EX things, you'll have to put up your own as well. And they even thought that it might be that like you can only trade extras of cards.
Ooh, that would be sick.
Really now that's not confirmed, that's just conjecture. But I thought that would be like really harsh because it's like, okay, I want this like, Alt-Art Mewtwo EX, so I'm gonna have to trade like an Alt-Art EX card for it, but it's also gotta be one that I already own 2 copies of, so I can only trade the third, which just seems brutal and mean, but also like there's got to be like this house always wins sort of thing. Because if it's like that, I was like, it does kind of make sense for the company's end. You have to still have opened enough to pull said card, and now you can just trade it for another card of the same rarity.
But I don't like the idea of it being an excess card, just because at that point there won't be a whole lot of trading going on if it has to be excess.
Right. Yeah. So. I don't know. It's interesting. I know we were looking up something just before the podcast started about like how much do you think it costs to like get every card in the game right now?
Yeah, I was doing some math as someone who spends a lot of games in like mobile games and stuff.
While you do that, by the way, I'm just going to adjust the exposure on your camera. You can keep talking.
Yeah, so I was curious about how much it would presumably cost to pull every card in the game. So first I looked at the just the base microtransactions, and I wasn't using any like deals or special offers for like first time buyers or new buyers, because every game offers like a discount for your first hit, because they want you to get into the habit of buying. But so I just looked at their kind of standard prices, and I saw that for like $99 you can get, what did I say it was, 8 10 pulls.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay, so $99, that's always going to end up being 100 plus with tax and whatnot. So for 100, I do 8 10 pulls. That means I'm pulling 80 cards. Well, I don't know the exact statistics behind pull rates in this game.
Well, that told me immediately. That's like a total of, that's like 400 cards total.
Oh, it's like 400 cards. My bad, I said 80.
I mean, I still don't, that's still, I bet I get what you're saying, like 80 packs.
80
worth.
packs.
Yeah, okay.
And the 400 cards. And I was like, it feels like in order to guarantee off that, and that's without me knowing the exact ratios, I just kind of had a feel for it. I was like, you probably need to spend like somewhere close to like $2,000 to guarantee the entire like set, because this is not a game that has like a pity system. Just because you only have, let's say, 1 card left in the entire set to collect, it doesn't mean the next time you buy 10 packs, you're going to pull it.
Yeah, you can easily get duplicates. It doesn't seem like it really like eases up on you because you didn't pull a certain rare. At least no system that I know of that's on the surface. Maybe there's only a hand on the scale behind the scenes.
Only if there's a pity system. And as far as we can tell, there is no pity system in this game. And so my guess was 2K. I was looking around the internet, and one guy said that he was short only 2 cards in the set, and he spent just over $500 to do it. And that's not perfect, right? Because he actually has not finished the set, and technically he could spend another $500 and still not pull those last 2 cards, which is insane to think about. I'm shivering just thinking about spending that much money to not succeed.
I saw like a Leon Hart video. He was like, yeah, I pulled every card in like Pokemon TCG Pocket. I've yet to watch it yet, but I can only imagine like what he spent. I guess it's one thing if you're doing it for content, because that's sort of different.
Content and that's something you should all be aware of, guys. Whenever you see a content creator like do something crazy, spending like a lot of money to accomplish something, remember that all content creators make some of that money or all that money back. Some or all of it's
going to be made back in sponsorships,
just through the videos
revenue,
itself. So
whatever.
Yeah, don't try and copy that. And I really don't see much of a reason to collect this whole set. I know there's this hidden Mew card, but that Mew card is always going to be there. Like unless they rotate this set out. You have plenty of time to try and collect every card in this set. And when they do introduce trading, even if it's extremely limited, trading will drastically decrease how much you have to spend in order to collect all the cards. So
right, very true.
Just keep that in mind.
Last time I brought some like weird licensed trading card games that exist. And
the Pac-Man card game.
Yeah, so for this, I actually...
Miss Pac-Man was a liberated woman.
Yeah, she was. Something I thought would be kind of exciting for this is going over infamous trading card game lawsuits. Yeah, because that might not
we know of one.
Yeah. So basically, I gathered together some information. Let me pull it up here.
You know what? I think Miss Pac-Man is the only female like video game character you can Google images of and you're not horrified.
Yeah, that's probably true, isn't it?
I'm not gonna scroll, but I was trying to see if there was like a recent Miss Pac-Man, and I went to images, and I was actually surprised with how tasteful the first page was. I'm not scrolling because I don't want to find out how bad it gets, but just putting that out there.
Okay, so. What do you like when you think of trading card game lawsuits, like infamous ones that you've heard of? Which ones come to mind? Like what comes to mind first?
Well, I guess the obvious one, Konami versus Upper Deck.
Yeah. So I do have that one. That's one that I wanted to sort of talk about. So what's your understanding of it? I can tell you mine was basically like, I remember not actually knowing like what was going on when it happened, because I remember it was like in 2008 or 2009, and I had actually just gotten back into Yu-Gi-Oh at that time, and I remember like they were saying like, yeah, here's like this new Konami tournament system that all these shops have to start using, and then they eventually like rebranded the Shonen Jump tournaments to like YCS tournaments, and I thought maybe that had something to do with it. What did you know?
So while yes, I was alive at the time, I was not paying any attention to Yu-Gi-Oh like that. So I didn't even know it was happening. Like I straight up did not know. My knowledge on this subject all came retroactive, like years later.
So Konami versus Upper Deck was a lawsuit that led to the dissolution of the partnership between Konami and Upper Deck in regards to management of the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game. On October 8th, 2008, Konami filed a complaint in the United States District Court for Central California charging vintage sports cards with distributing repackaged Yu-Gi-Oh trading cards that contained counterfeit rare cards. They were granted an injunction against Vintage, which I guess Vintage sports cards is...
They're a third party. They're not actually like associated with Konami or Upper Deck, but they were receiving the cards from Upper Deck.
Yeah, Vintage supplied evidence to Konami alleging that Upper Deck Company or Upper Deck Entertainment was the source of the cards. And so they subpoenaed records from Upper Deck, but Upper Deck refused to comply, which raised a legal objection. So finally, on December 10th of that same year, Upper Deck filed suit in the District of Nevada, alleging that Konami had breached its agreements, committed fraud, and slandered Upper Deck. So this goes like back and forth for a little bit.
Yeah, because Upper Deck initially wins, and then it gets run back, and then Konami wins.
Yeah, this one was interesting. So basically, like what the whole fallout of this is that like Konami made the game, Upper Deck like distributed the game. Yeah, like they helped distribute it. And I thought that was sort of weird because I was like, why would like two companies even really do that? But Upper Deck alleged that Konami hadn't, like, they had done things like they didn't take their input in ban lists.
Right.
Like with like game balance, and that they wouldn't take their input in like card design ideas back to Shueisha and like Japan. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was just sort of like a neat thing that I read when I was researching this.
So it makes a lot of sense, honestly. Konami is a Japanese company. They had their card game. They knew there was interest overseas in their card game, but they didn't know the market. They didn't know the distribution routes. They didn't know how to market their game overseas. So that's where Upper Deck comes in. Upper Deck tells you, "Hey, we know the European market. We know the American market. We know these people. We know how to move the cards. We know who to talk to. We'll get it done. You just give us the license and the product, and we'll make it happen."
Yeah, I think
they got greedy.
They found out about this in mid-January 2009. Upper Deck announced that Konami had not sent champion packs. That was the kind of
like OTS packs.
OTS packs of today. Had not sent champion packs to them for distribution to hobby stores, and Konami immediately responded with the statement that the lack of availability of champion packs to Upper Deck was because Konami had terminated the contract between the two companies. Shady. So yeah, and since then Konami's just handle the distribution of the Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game itself. Some changes were that did lead to the creation of the YCS system. Mm-hmm. They had to make a new like tournament running software for like local card shops. That's actually when they implemented the Kasi system as well, like the Kasi IDs. So yeah, I just thought this was kind of like a neat one.
An interesting holdover. That affected many card games, not just Yu-Gi-Oh. I believe that situation is why, like Bandai, they handle, like they make their card games and then they distribute the card games kind of poorly. Mm-hmm. Like, because if you're associated with like Bandai's card games, they kind of just drop the product, do very little marketing, and move on. And that's because they haven't licensed the game to be distributed by anyone because, well, I don't know this for a fact, but they don't trust other companies.
Yeah, that seems like that's kind of the big thing. I guess I didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh during the Upper Deck days. Like I played just at the start, like in 2002 and 3, where I'm like 7 years old, and I couldn't possibly have conceived of any of this.
Cards on the table.
I didn't go to like a card shop. But then like in 2008 or 9 or whatever, like I was getting back in as this was happening. So like I don't have a point of reference as far as like, what was life under Upper Deck like. Like I sometimes will see these posts on Reddit where people are like, who did the game better, like Upper Deck or Konami? And I'm really not sure. Like some people say that card availability was like maybe better under Upper Deck. Other people say it was worse. Some people say that Banlists were better or worse. But I'm not really sure how much Upper Deck even had like a say. I mean, in that stuff.
It's too much time has passed since then. And the game's scale has grown dramatically since then as well, to a point where I don't think you can compare like card availability and like distribution 1-to-1 anymore.
Yeah.
Like Konami distributes this game in a much larger scale than Upper Deck did. And like because there were significantly fewer cards back then too. So any kind of like positives you want to give Upper Deck, you can possibly just attribute that to the game being much smaller back then.
Yeah. So thought that was kind of an interesting one. I know it's one that gets brought up a bunch. If there's anybody who is listening and would like to give us some input,
especially you lawyer types.
Yeah, whether you're a lawyer or just like a person who was old enough when they were playing like in that maybe 2005, 6, 7 time.
Old heads.
And also like beyond that, like after Konami took over, I would love to hear more about like, you know, what was that like? Like, do you notice any distinct differences and just stuff like that? I don't know. Now here's another one. Wizards of the Coast versus Nintendo. Have you heard about this?
It sounds familiar, but I can't think of what it was about.
Yeah, this is about the Pokemon TCG. So.
Oh, okay. I do remember this.
Yeah, so tell me about it. What do you know?
So it was copyright infringement over the way Pokemon played similarly to Magic. Was that it?
No, actually.
Oh,
so this one focuses on a legal dispute between Wizards of the Coast and Nintendo of America, along with its affiliate, Pokemon USA. So Wizards of the Coast, known for its trading card game Magic the Gathering, filed a lawsuit I guess it kind of has to do with Magic, but like not really. Filed a lawsuit.
Wait, didn't Wizards actually... Did they distribute? They did, because I remember the Wizards logo was on old Pokemon cards.
Exactly, yeah.
I forgot about that.
So Wizards used to publish Pokemon cards. Isn't that crazy? Like, isn't that just like weird?
You just tapped into like a very old memory, because in order to remember that, I had to see my old Pokemon cards in my childlike hand, and I remember seeing the Wizards logo.
Yeah, very core memory. I didn't play a lot of Pokemon.
I never played. I just had.
I remember having some cards. I'd opened a pack here or there. Yeah, so this might sound kind of strange because it's like, well, Wizards was like, you know, they were distributing the game, so why was there a lawsuit? Well, they filed a lawsuit accusing Nintendo and Pokemon USA of breaching contracts and infringing on patents related to the Pokemon trading card game. The lawsuit alleged that 2 former Wizards of the Coast executives shared trade secrets with Pokemon USA after joining the company. So basically, like what had happened was Nintendo or Pokemon USA actually like poached 2 like high up people at Wizards to, I guess, you know, develop the card game for them. The roots of the conflict trace back to 1998 when Wizards entered a new agreement with Nintendo to distribute Pokemon cards outside of Asia. Initially successful, it began to falter by 2002. During this time, Pokemon USA started hiring Wizards of the Coast employees and restricted Wizards of the Coast from releasing certain card sets. Tensions escalated as Pokemon USA allegedly used Wizards' proprietary methods to produce and distribute new card sets, specifically the Ruby and Sapphire collection. So I guess that was what was coming out at the time.
Ruby and Sapphire, always problematic.
So I don't know exactly what the trade secrets were. It sounds like it was something about like, from what I was reading, I saw some things about like just the way that the cards were printed, like kind of the layout and design of the cards was something to that. The lawsuit claimed that they had solicited its distributors and customers while relying on confidential information.
Oh, so they were even using the Wizards of the Coast like network.
Yeah, they were using their network as they tried to kind of like pull away from them. Yeah, further accusations were leveled against former Wizards of the Coast employees who were said to have violated non-disclosure agreements by contributing to Pokemon-related projects. So outside of getting those like 2 high-up executives, I remember reading that like they got like several just like graphic designers and like card designers and stuff like that. And like they hired them all from Wizards of the Coast.
So they just poached like
they're poaching
a lot of talent from Wizards. Wizards is like, oh no.
Yeah, Wizards viewed these actions as significant breaches of trust and intellectual property protections. So Yeah, the Pokemon USA, they firmly denied any misconduct.
Of course,
and they expressed confidence in their legal position. And despite the heated allegations, they both engaged in settlement discussions, although the details were not disclosed. So since then, Wizards has not published the Pokemon trading card game anymore. So
that's interesting. I do remember some discussion of the old Wizards Pokemon card game and how Wizards viewed it as an onboarding ramp into like trading card games. That, you know, if you were that you would get kids in with the Pokemon TCG, and then as they grew up, you would get them into Magic.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. That's interesting.
And it makes some sense. The games aren't so different. And like Pokemon does have their energy system, which isn't very different from a mana system. And the idea, at least back in the 90s, was we would all just grow out of these stupid like cartoons and like Japanese animations. They were wrong, but that's what people thought in the 90s, that we just kind of grow out of it. There wouldn't be any 20-plus-year-old Pokemon TCG players. They'd be Magic players.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting that like so many of these companies like Wizards, Konami, you know, Upper Deck, they all at some point or another were like working together on various things.
I mean, it makes sense.
Like it makes it seem
right?
like it's a much smaller industry than we're maybe even. Sorry, go, like what were you?
It makes sense. Konami, the Pokemon company, they don't know America that well. And then there's always an American company saying, "Hey, I know us. We'll take $1. We'll help you out."
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, when I was doing research for this, I actually found out that Wizards of the Coast has filed some lawsuits against like different tabletop games and like other kind of card games and like
over
years
like
ago.
D&D and stuff.
Not just over D&D. There was like here's this one: Wizards of the Coast files lawsuit to stop publication of tabletop game alleging trademark violation and reprehensible content. That was like the one that was similar to D&D, I do believe. We might have even talked about this in the podcast. It's a game called Star Frontiers New Genesis.
Never heard
which
of
is a space opera role-playing game. And yeah, they sued them. So I don't know. That was just kind of interesting. I don't have like all the information on that though, so I won't, get into that. But I wanted to now fast forward to a couple of interesting lawsuits that are more recent in nature. You may have heard about Upper Deck suing Ravensburger.
Oh, yeah. How's that been going?
But yeah, Upper Deck's lawsuit that claims the designer of hit trading card game Disney Lorcana stole the design from them continues to plod its way through the courts. More than a year after the complaint was first lodged.
They're still in it.
Yeah, they're still in court. The publisher accused Lorcana designer Ryan Miller of premeditated theft, claiming that he took his work on Upper Deck's previously unannounced game Rush of Icor with him when he left the company in 2020, and he transported it to his new employer Ravensburger to create Lorcana. They claim that it's got remarkable, uncanny similarities, and it claims that Miller was aided and encouraged by Ravensburger in stealing the designs.
Ooh, they said y'all all snakes.
Yeah, so I thought that was just kind of like one of those. It's interesting that like Upper Deck seems like they're always going to be in the fire of this. Weren't they supposed to be making a new TCG kind of recently? What was that?
I have no idea what Upper Deck does.
Like it was some licensed thing. Was it they were bringing back like, oh man, I don't remember. Like I feel like I don't follow Upper Deck enough. I don't really know like what are they up to?
I mean, they make a lot of like sports cards, I know. Mm-hmm. Whenever I see Upper Deck, usually like on a WWE card or something.
Yeah, Upper Deck claims by the time it learned of the specific details of Lorcana in 2023, it was too late to prevent the use of the Rush of Icor work materials. Which I guess that's actually kind of, that makes sense. Like, if they were developing this game in, 2019, 2020, this game Rush of Icor, and the guy left Upper Deck for Ravensburger in 2020, then in 2023 is when, we get the details of Lorcana. Upper Deck couldn't have known until then that all of that, all those concepts had been taken,
That's why the vast majority of corporations, when you sign on to work for them, in the contract that says any ideas you have while you're a part of this company is also under the ownership of the company and not yours, which I think is some sick shit, but that's how it be.
Yeah, it claims Miller hid from Upper Deck his talks with Ravensburger, his reasons for leaving the company, and that he would be working on a competing identical game for his new employer.
Did they not even have a non-compete clause on him? That's crazy.
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting. I'm interested in seeing where this goes. I mean, I wonder what would happen then. Does Ravensburger just have to pay them some damages? Like, I'm not an expert on,
I mean, it's really all up to what like a judge says at the end of the day, because it could be just a matter of paying damages. But if it's considered egregious enough, Lorcana could just end.
Yeah, I wonder wouldn't that be crazy?
But I don't see it happening.
Like a card game that just
at that point, I think a Disney lawyer is going to show up, and one Disney lawyer is equal to like a million others.
Well, though, I'm not so sure, because like Disney seems like it kind of keeps some of its distance from Lorcana.
They do. They do
Lorcana is very much like, we like license the Disney properties out to this kind of small game maker, and like they handle all, like Ravensburger handles all the marketing and handles all the design, and like, so I'm not really sure. I mean, I know Disney wouldn't be happy if they're.
I feel like that would besmirch the Disney brand, and I feel like at that point they're like, oh no, now it's our problem.
That's true. That is very,
because they licensed Disney characters to Ravensburger, and to say that Ravensburger stole this game is almost like saying Disney stole it, and I feel like Disney would take that personally.
Yeah. Now here's my last one. This is actually another pretty recent thing. You know the site Card Market?
Yeah, cardmarket.eu.
Yeah, they're kind of the European version of TCG Player, some people call them. Well, actually in March of this year, they took legal action against sellers who manipulated the market prices of Pokemon cards on its platform.
Oh.
Yeah, so in a cease and desist letter that was obtained by PokeBeach, the company is accused a seller of creating over 200 fake accounts to manipulate the price of Pikachu with gray felt hat, the promo card.
Oh my God, this Pikachu again.
Yeah, this was like the one that was kind of painted like a Van Gogh painting.
There was a riot, or were multiple riots over this Pikachu?
Yeah, you got it from this one museum in Australia, and people would like go to the museum and just
they'd harass the employees. I thought it was in France.
Something. I thought it was an Australia thing.
Was it Australia? Who knows?
Well, either way. So here's what happened. Actually, it's really interesting the way that this, not interesting in a good way, but just interesting how the seller was doing it. So in this type of fraud, the seller uses fake accounts to buy, quote unquote, the cheapest listings without actually paying for them, which temporarily removes them from the marketplace. So it's like, imagine, when you go on like eBay or something and you're like, okay, I'm going to like buy this thing from this auction. Like you won the auction, but you haven't paid yet, Mm-hmm. So during that short window of time, it takes the item off the listing's like offline now. So no one else can access it, which is like a good thing. But this then allows the seller to be able to offer their own listings for what they want the cheapest price to be. So, you're selling it for $500 and I'm like, well, I want to sell these things for like $800. So I'm just going to pretend to buy yours, get its listing offline. And now there's no other listing because I bought like all of the listings. I can now like set mine at like $800 and get some quick cash.
So I guess you could set it up where you confirm your payment, but there's actually no money in the account that you're using. And
yeah, it could be like a chargeback thing.
It could, or you could do a chargeback too.
So, here's what they say. They say that, the person they're suing, you bought competing offers that you never paid for nor had the intention to do so. Card Market's letter says, you consistently aimed to provide the lowest price for this specific card in our marketplace. In a total of 31 cases they found, you were able to sell the Pikachu with gray felt hat card with this action. So they say this behavior is anti-competitive and is punishable as fraud. The letter claims that the seller's actions caused over 12,000 euros in damages, or about $13,000. So, that was kind of interesting. I don't know if they ended up actually paying that or got taken to court over it, but what do you think?
That's a murky one because, see, if this were the stock market in the States, it'll be open and shut essentially. If they perceive that you're manipulating the stock market, that's your ass. But this is a specific company's online platform, and yes, this person manipulated it, but they actually allowed them to do so. Like, Card Market allowed this person to manipulate their market. And so I question is,
I mean, I guess they didn't allow them to. Like, they just didn't know it was happening until later.
But they had a platform that did allow this to happen. And I don't know if it's illegal to use a company's platform in a way that they didn't expect it to be used. Because I don't know if that's a really illegal.
Also, this is like in Europe too.
Yeah, it's in Europe, so I don't know how the laws are completely different over there.
Structured.
So I'm interested in seeing how this case plays out.
It really also goes to show just how like predatory the market for these card games has gotten. Like, we talk about it a lot on this podcast, just people who are in it, in these games just to make some money.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just to kind of flip.
Trying to make a buck.
Rare Pokemon cards. We talk about Pokemon theft all the time. So
not this week.
Yeah. Maybe this is the Pokemon theft story in a sense.
Oh, yeah, huh?
I mean, he was definitely scamming people. Like,
definitely a scam.
Or at least, I mean, I would call it a scam. Like, because it's market manipulation for sure. So
yeah, he's subverting free trade essentially.
Yeah.
Or not free trade, but subverting
like
the
open market. Yeah. The idea of
everyone, like, because this is the belief, at least on Card Market, that if I'm willing to sell this Pikachu for its lowest price, then I should sell before someone who's selling it at a higher price, assuming quality is all the same. But if somebody's using a trick to kind of like screw you out of a purchase,
yeah,
like that's not okay. And I definitely understand Card Market taking action against this person, but I'm just not sure how suing them is gonna work.
Yeah, I mean, so they sent a cease and desist. So I'm assuming maybe the person just paid back the money and didn't have to go to court.
But like, what do they mean paid back the money? Because Card Market wasn't actually selling these cards.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess Card Market gets a cut of all sales, so maybe that's what they're calculating their amount from.
You might argue that, well, he's actually helping Card Market because he's selling the card more.
Yeah, that's true.
But then again, cheaper copies of cards sell faster than more expensive ones. So by tying up those cheaper copies of the the Pikachu hat card, then they might be losing sales that way.
I'm reminded of like just how like TCG player buyouts often go, like kind of the same feeling where like somebody will buy all of the existing, like it's like a buyout. And I think that at least in the case of TCG player, they do actually like have to buy the thing for it to leave.
Yeah, it's manipulation, but I would call that kind of above board because you had to get monetarily invested to do it.
Yeah, so I guess it's like better. And the last one I wanted to talk about was Konami and like Wizards of the Coast with like Yu-Gi-Oh's Magic and Spell cards. But apparently that was pretty swiftly like settled just out of court. Like nothing.
Okay, they probably just went to like arbitration or something.
Yeah, nothing really came of that. So like I think that's Konami was just like, yeah, we'll just start calling them spell cards instead of magic cards, and we're just not going to like worry about going to court with this. So
fair enough.
It's an interesting thing. Anyway, though, yeah, those were some interesting and exciting card game lawsuits that have happened. I thought people
definitely caught me off guard. The only one I knew for a fact that would be there was the first one.
Yeah. So, anyways, back to the news. You got anything else?
I've
got a few.
I was going to mention a new Gundam anime series that's been announced.
Yeah, I saw this. Tell me about it.
So this is a new series called Mobile Suit Gundam. It's spelled GQuuuuuuX.
Yeah,
allegedly pronounced as like GQuuuuuX, like GQuuuuuX or
I've heard it's like GQuuuuuX.
You could say GQuuuuuX. I think we'll all be pronouncing it many different ways until like they dub this anime to decide how it's pronounced. But it's a very different style of Gundam anime. If you've ever watched any recent like Gundam shows made by Sunrise, they all kind of have like a Gundam look and feel to them, excluding movies because those tend to be much higher like budgets, but they tend to have a different look. But GQuuuuuX, it has its own look and it looks really fresh. So it's described as, it's not like a big space opera war thing. The synopsis, if I can find it real quick, it's about Amate Yuzuriha, a high school student living peacefully in a space colony floating in outer space. Very Gundam. When she meets a war refugee, oh, that's Gundam, named Nyan, Amate is drawn into the illegal mobile suit dueling sport known as clan battle. So this is Gundam battling as a sport, kind of sounds like G Gundam, instead of, you know, Gundam battling as, well, a series of war crimes that ultimately lead to you crying and holding on to your pillow like, why'd they have to die? Why'd they have to die?
Why do teenagers have to die?
Which someone might still die here, even though it's a sport. It says, under the entry name Machu, she throws herself into fierce battle day after day, piloting the GQuuuuuX. Man, I'm so mad they actually named the Gundam that. I really need to know how to pronounce.
Yeah, it'll sound weird until, I guess, we just hear them say it a lot.
And then it turns out it's just weird. There is no easy pronunciation.
I mean, weird fits with like the look of that trailer too. Just so far, like everything, it's just a little bit offbeat for Gundam.
But it does look really good. I compare the character designs to things like Pokemon. Some of the director and creator of like Fooly Cooly worked on this, and I could kind of get a Fooly Cooly vibe off of it.
It almost gave me like very vague, like Miyazaki film vibe, like just like vaguely though. Anyways, sorry, go on. I was interrupting.
This is the last part is, then an unidentified Gundam mobile suit pursued by both the Space Force and the Police Force appears before her, along with its pilot, a boy named Shuji. So I kind of get like coming of age story, girl meets guy. They maybe they fall in love and they have to fight against society, because Gundam loves those larger concepts. Like, I
mean, if it's like, so you said it's like a sort of underground, not like underground, but like a.
I mean, it's outer space. Yeah. They don't have an underground.
You know what I mean? Like just.
But yeah, it's illegal like Gundam fights,
fighting ring type of thing. Yeah.
Which kind of sounds sick, I won't lie.
Would suggest then that if you're, because usually with those sorts of stories, when there's like two characters or like you're just one character participating in that, they're doing it for like a noble cause, but basically it's like, you know, they're getting their hands dirty to get money to like, you know, bring back home to their family or something.
Yeah, it's
like
that.
Oh,
my sister needs eye surgery, so.
Yeah, familiar. You know, or buy their freedom in some kind of a way or improve their life. So this will be interesting. I mean, they do both seem like they're teenagers. Right.
Yeah, so it's a younger cast.
That's kind of in line with Gundam these days. Like it feels like they kind of, I don't know. Like I only really started with like IBO, Iron Blooded Orphans. So I know in that they were obviously pretty young, their group, and then also in Witch from Mercury, the characters were pretty young. They were like school age, like high school age.
Like typically in a Gundam, your protagonist will be a teenager.
Yeah, more relatable that way.
Now, the whole cast is usually not kids, but typically at least your main like couple characters, they're going to be like teenagers piloting these overpowered death machines to save or destroy the entire world.
All right, so let's get with all the boring, like, okay, here's what it was out of the way. What do you think? Like, what do you think? You're a Gundam fan. Like,
I am a Gundam fan.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it looks very very weird. I was looking at the GQuuuuuX, the actual Gundam for this series, because they've already announced a a model kit for it, and it is one of the most weirdly designed Gundams I've ever seen. Like, if you
have a picture of it,
I do right here.
Oh my god! Do you know that is very not Gundam-y?
Yeah, it has like Gundam elements to it, but it feels like it was made to kind of eschew Gundam tradition. There are more curves.
Yeah, I was gonna say a little curvier
on this like Gundam than I've ever seen. Instead of having the kind of golden chevron thing that's on the forehead of nearly every Gundam, it has this kind of big red thing, which looks very strange.
You know, its art actually reminds me of like Sword Soul of Moye. Just the pose that it's in. I don't know if that's
this just thing. Moye is a Gundam.
Yeah, but cool. I mean, like,
oh, there's also going to be a movie made. I think it is not going to be like a true movie. It's one of those kind of Japanese anime movies where they turn like the first couple episodes into a theatrical release.
Yeah, they've been doing that a lot with Demon Slayer in the States.
I don't care for that trend in like animation.
You don't like it?
I don't like those kinds of movies.
Why not?
Because sometimes people invite you to see the new Demon Slayer movie,
and then you find out it's crap.
Just the first like 2 episodes of the new season.
Yeah, that definitely hasn't happened to us or anything. Didn't like invite a whole group of friends out and like, we're gonna watch this new Demon Slayer thing, and it's like 45-minute thing.
When I go to a movie theater, I want to actually watch a movie I've never seen before, a full theatrical release, not just 2 episodes cut together.
Still though, for like a super fan, I guess that is cool. Like if you're like in Japan, because they were saying it's going to be like in theaters in Japan.
Yeah. Like
super fans would love to see this. I think though what I felt was better was with Witch from Mercury, where they had like the episode 0 that released a few weeks. I think it was like a few weeks.
Yeah, it did come out earlier.
Before it came out,
it was a prologue to The Witch from Mercury, and I remember we watched that and we're like, man, what does this mean for the series? Like,
yeah,
it was a sad story, and we're like, so how do we get from here to our new character? Because a bunch of people died.
Yeah, so I will certainly be watching it. Thanks to you, obviously, I've become more of a Gundam fan in recent years. So
welcome.
I will be giving it a try.
And speaking of Gundam, we will actually be attending the Gundam TCG launch event this weekend.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to be headed to this Gundam launch event that's happening, and I'm pretty excited. We're going to be like covering the game a little bit. Bandai invited us out for it, or I guess Play TCG, I think, is actually more of the people over it.
But because no one's really seen these cards outside of like the promotional videos and sneak peeks. But we're actually gonna get our hands on them.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a chance to like play them and kind of.
They're gonna teach us how to play, because I know they've released videos on how to play and whatnot. I haven't watched any of them.
Yeah, so you're going in blind.
Yeah, I literally do not know how to play. I've only seen the cards. I have not really read or played them.
I'm definitely interested in doing some video coverage of it. I mean, from the cards that I've seen, they look quite nice. The TCG cards they're using a lot of the same artists that they used for Digimon, and I'm assuming One Piece, who always do a really great job.
Bandai must have those artists like locked somewhere in a basement. It's like, all right, time to draw all the new cards for our latest card games. All right, you're done with Union Arena, move on to One Piece. You know that? Go to Digimon.
They credit them though.
They do credit them, but I don't think it's a leave.
Yeah, they probably don't get to leave very often. Yeah, I haven't played the game, obviously, or like read anything too much about how to play it outside of the very baseline stuff we discussed on that like first podcast episode when it happened. It's tough to pull me away from anything that's not like Yu-Gi-Oh, or to pull me away from Yu-Gi-Oh to like try out other card games, but I will give it an earnest shot. I mean, I'm excited to just cover it, if nothing else. Where do you think it's going to like slot in TCG-wise for you?
I mean, for me personally, I don't intend to be a Gundam like TCG player. I intend to be a collector.
Yeah.
Now, if I go to locals and like somebody just it's like they really want to play, they're really excited, I'll play with them, right? I'll get a deck together and I'll play with them. But that's not my intention.
No, it's not a bad thing. You always get so defensive when I say that. No, I mean it's good because like
I play games
play
with people except for board games, only card games.
Yeah, Alec will play like if someone's alone at a card shop and they've got cards. Like Alec will try to play with them.
I can learn. I've been known to like learn card games, but did you know this is actually not my first Gundam card game?
Oh, was there one before?
Well, yes and no.
Please tell me.
So there's 2 examples. Battle
there
Spirits.
Were 2?
Battle Spirits did a Gundam collab.
Okay, yeah.
And so there were Gundam versions of Battle Spirit cards. I didn't actually play that game, so that doesn't really count. What I did play was Gundam Arsenal Base, which is only really available in Japan.
Oh, that's the arcade game that you were playing.
Yes, where you collect physical cards that you can then play on their arcade machines. And it plays, if I had to describe the game, as a more impressive looking Clash of Clans.
Okay. I was going to ask if it was anything like Dual Terminal was, like back when that... like
I never played Dual Terminal. I have no idea.
Yeah, I remember my card shop actually had a Dual Terminal machine like a long time ago. I'm sure they've since sold it or something.
Did you physically play the cards on the machine? Or?
You did. Yeah, so the way that it worked is like you'd put your money in, it was like $1 or something to play, and then you kind of did this like these different pre-done duels, but you could scan your cards in and like they would show up in game, but it had to be like other dual terminal cards. And then when you finished playing, you would get like a card out from the bottom, and it could be a chance of being like a Trishula or something like that. But oftentimes it was like really random bad GNX.
I mean,
or
that's
Gusto
how
card.
that's how the Gundam Arsenal based arcade machine worked as well. The you got demo cards to play with. You know, if you didn't have any, but if you had your own cards before you started, after you put your money in, before you start the game, you placed your cards, your different mobile suits and your different pilots into these slots, and they would load into the game. And if you had like a member card, it saved progress from previous games where you could have even upgraded those cards.
Okay.
We can't do that in like proper TCGs, right? The card is just a card. Whatever it says is what it does. But in the arcade versions of them, and I'm sure that even comes up in digital card games, though I don't really play any, you can actually upgrade a card where, you know, your physical card is connected to your account. And so it's not just a piece of paper. You've actually evolved it over time.
Yeah, so I guess you're right. This is the third Gundam game, TCG.
That I know
hard
of.
sort of that you'll have.
There might have been one before.
Wouldn't surprise me. Okay, so I've got one last gaming-ish story before we get into some more fun dark AI stuff.
Oh no.
It's actually not a story, it's just more like an event. So it's the 30th anniversary of PlayStation. I don't know if you knew about this.
How old am I? 31?
Yeah, so this is...
That does make sense.
Yeah, it's the 30th anniversary of PlayStation. They're celebrating it right now. And they've been doing like all these cool... You know, like the 30th anniversary edition of the PS5 Pro, and like also just the PS1 themed controllers that you can buy now and stuff.
I don't know why anyone wants to revisit the PS1 controller. Those things sucked.
Well, no, I mean, you're not buying the controller. It's just like the color scheme of it. Like, you're getting a PS5 controller, and I thought you'd like that sort of thing.
I don't.
Well,
the thing it's funny. So I've technically owned every PlayStation device.
Yeah.
Well, excluding the more recent stuff like the Portal and things. But I actually it was one Christmas. It was the Christmas the PlayStation 2 came out.
Yeah.
And Alex and I, back then we were cute little twin boys, so people loved buying us gifts. So that year, we had an aunt that got us a PlayStation, like an actual proper original PlayStation.
This is great, actually, because the question I was going to ask was like I wanted us to each like share our most kind of core PlayStation memory.
Yeah. Well, this is pretty core.
So yeah, you can go ahead.
Then we opened up our next gift, and I think this one was from our dad, and there was a PlayStation 2. So we got a PlayStation 1 and a PlayStation 2 at the same exact time.
Really cool.
And the truth of the matter is my dad really got it because he wanted to play it. But that was...
so he just like kind of... The set dressing was like, it's like a gift for the kids. Mm-hmm. But like really it's maybe more for him.
Because to be clear, that PlayStation 2 did not actually go in our bedroom. It was in my parents' bedroom.
It's okay. So your dad's like a bit of a gamer.
He just likes to have new shiny things. And you... Because you could tell, because our first like kind of handful of PlayStation 2 games were a bunch of games that only really an adult would enjoy. It was like Major League Baseball, some racing simulator, like
a little more adult.
The games were and a track and field game.
Well, hey, you said you played track and field in high school, so maybe it went on to
no. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Influence there.
I hated that game.
What was your favorite like PS1 or 2 game, I guess?
Oh man. So for me, because I played it with my brothers, it was Dragon Ball Z Budokai, the first one.
Yeah.
But you know, there were games like the Crash CTR, like Crash Team Racing.
Yeah, I love
that. Was
Crash
on
Team
PS1,
Racing.
Right?
Yeah,
it was on PS1.
Yeah,
that was
Team Racing was
great
PS1.
game.
Nitro
Alex and
Kart
I
was
played
PS2.
the mess out of that, and we played Nitro Kart as well. But I think those two games kind of sum up PlayStation for me.
Yeah. So my experience getting into PlayStation was that my sister, we had like a yearly fair. Like the fair comes through like different towns each year. I don't know if that happened for you, but yeah. So we had like the fair every year in the fall. And she actually won, I guess, like a giveaway of some kind and she got like a PlayStation 1. And I think it even came with a game, which might have been Crash Team Racing. Or maybe we just like picked up a game because like, okay, she got a PlayStation 1, so the parents knew, well, okay, we got to get her like some game to play on it.
Oh, I had a demo of Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah, so she got Crash Team Racing. That was like one of our favorite first games that we played. I think it was, I really miss kind of just the opening the disc cover, like when it would like pop up and like you put the disc in. So that was really cool. And that's also,
it was such a time.
I remember playing Digimon Rumble Arena. We played Rumble Arena on PS1. That was so much fun.
Oh my God.
Even as far back as then, like I was like zoning with Agumon's like pepper breath like attack.
Oh, you were the worst kind.
It really was like a Super Smash Bros. Game. And like, I know, Digimon, who knows? I don't know what exactly they do for games these days, but like, bring back Rumble Arena, man. Like, I had fun with that. That was cool.
Oh, man.
But my first time actually getting my own PlayStation console was not until the PS3. So I never owned a PS2. I had a lot of friends who did. They also played Dragon Ball and like other stuff. And I would only just be able to play it like at someone's house. But the story of how I got a PS3 was kind of interesting because I called myself wanting an Xbox 360 at some point in time. I don't know why. Maybe it was like the marketing.
Xbot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't interested in like games like Halo or whatever. I just wanted to have one for some reason.
Because everybody had one.
I got one and like did not end up liking it at all. But
did you get the red ring?
I don't think so. But I didn't play it very much. I played Blue Dragon on it. That was fun. But
okay,
this is about
that's
PlayStation.
A game worth playing.
So in 2010, I think was when this happened. I actually sold my Yu-Gi-Oh collection I had at the time, which wasn't a load of cards. But I sold my Yu-Gi-Oh collection, combined it with my allowance, and bought my own PS3.
Woo!
And that was actually what led to me like not really playing a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh from like 2011 to some undisclosed time, because like I just had sold my collection to get a PlayStation, and it was fucking worth it too.
As you played some Call of Duty, I bet.
No, ew. But I played. I think my favorite game was probably Final Fantasy 13 on PS3. But I also remember liking Little Big Planet, Mod Nation Racers, all the Ratchet and Clank games.
You were probably one of the kids I hated then.
Why?
Because during the PS3 era, Alex and I actually did not get a PS3 for a very long time. We rocked on that PlayStation 2 for context. So I didn't have the PlayStation 1 that we got the same time as that PS2 got returned to the store immediately. My dad was not going to allow us to have two consoles, even though that was mostly for him. Well, someone broke into our house at some point, I don't remember anymore, and they stole that PlayStation.
Wow.
So it eventually got replaced with a newer one. And that messed up our ability to ever get a PS3. Because at that point, my dad had paid for two PlayStation 2s, and we were going to get all the value out of those PlayStation 2s.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's fair. It's funny because like, recently Sony updated like the PS2 sales numbers, and they confirmed that it's like sold 160 million units, and they confirmed this like 2 weeks ago or something. It was
probably because people kept breaking in and stealing people's PS2s and to buy new ones.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's been off the shelf for years, so I don't know like how anybody's buying one in 2024.
Yeah, well, maybe in the US, maybe they were pushing them in other countries afterwards.
Like a new PS2. Where are you buying that?
There are some places where they would love a new PS2.
But would they be able to buy one? Is like my question. Like I just
Temu.
That's different. Anyway, though, yeah. So that's kind of my PlayStation story. I just thought it would be fun to share since it's the 30th.
You reminded me of the visceral feeling of like popping open the tray and putting a disc in.
I know.
There was an old cartoon called Monster Rancher.
I remember this.
One of the core aspects of Monster Rancher was instead of like throwing a Pokeball like you do in Pokemon, you would spin a disc and a monster would pop out of it. Mm-hmm. And so in the Monster Rancher video games, they had this mechanic feature where you could take DVDs, because this is also the big DVD era. You could take DVDs and then spin them in your PlayStation. So you'd start the Monster Rancher game.
Oh, what the heck?
You would go to the summoning pedestal thing, and then you would take the Monster Rancher disc out, put a DVD in, and you'd spin it, and it would summon a monster according to what DVD you put in.
Then did you put the Monster Rancher disc back in?
Yeah, then you put it back in.
That sounds so dangerous.
That
sounds so
It was
dangerous.
convoluted, but different DVDs got you different monsters. And there was like a list online of what DVDs you needed to get the rarest ones. Like, I remember Shrek. The Shrek DVD had a really good monster in it.
That's actually really cool, though. Like, I remember as a kid, people, like, there was like a rumor sort of in the playground. I think I was in maybe 4th or 5th grade when I heard this, where it was like, yeah, like, did you know, like, you can take the disc out while you're playing a game and, like, it'll still play? And I remember that is true to some degree, is that, like, you can, with a lot of games, you can take the disc out, but once the game has to load something new, then it will stop playing.
Right.
So you can still run around the area. Like, somebody did this with Super Mario Sunshine or something, and that's how I learned about it. So.
Oh God! Now I'm thinking of the GameCube. And those
I know. But this isn't Nintendo's anniversary. This is Sony's.
Sure. We're sticking to Sony.
If you're
Sony
listening
only.
to the podcast, I would like to hear your own PlayStation stories. How did you get one? Are you still like a Sony fan today?
Sony ponies rise up.
Yeah, are you a Sony pony, or have you defected to something, whatever the freaking console wars say? Any other gaming stories?
I'm tapped out. Also, my tab was dead.
Wow, unsurprising. Okay, well, we got to get a little bit of AI in here.
Do we have to?
Don't worry, we're going to end with something fun.
Okay.
But first, we have darkness. So, a Google AI model can actually create playable virtual worlds on the fly. Yeah, we were just talking about gaming, and so this would be
like, I'm assuming it must be something like simple, like a platforming type game.
Yeah, so here's how it works, basically. Let me pull it up here.
Elon Musk is salivating.
Yeah, I mean, it is funny. We talked about that story last week. So the way that it works is introducing Gemini 2, our most capable large-scale foundation world model, which can generate a diverse array of consistent worlds playable for up to a minute. We believe Genie 2 can unlock the next wave of capabilities for embodied agents. So here's the gist, right? You put in a prompt and like a picture, and what it will do is it'll create like a game world based on that picture that you can like walk around and move around in. So like in this video, they show like being like a robot and playing in this futuristic city that it's generated from just a picture. There's one where they're like a sailboat on this body of water, and you can play this with like a keyboard on your computer, and they just kind of have this sort of set of a bunch of different ones that they've generated. And I actually am not going to lie, as anti-AI as I am impressed with what's going on here, because what do you think? What's your like initial reception to this?
Of course it's going to look nice when they've cherry-picked the very best moments from their millions of iterations.
Yeah.
I mean, they're showing you the success stories. I'm sure there are way more failures.
From first-person real-world scenes to third-person driving environments, Genie 2 generates worlds in 720p. Given an image, Genie 2 stimulates world dynamics, creating a consistent environment playable with keyboard and mouse inputs. So, to illustrate the potential of this for embodied agents, consider the world below, generated using Imagen 3. The SEMA team, I guess that's like the group who made this, tested whether their latest agent could follow language instructions such as going to the red or blue door. So like, they kind of just show.
So is that the AI playing the game as well?
It sounds like it, or maybe, yeah, something like that. And so this guy goes on to say, and just like that, we have a path to unlimited environments for training and evaluating our embodied agents. They call it embodied agents. I guess that's an interesting term.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what it means.
Yeah, so we tried creating another world with 3 arches, and once again, Genie 2 was able to simulate the world, and SEMA solved the task. So there's like this video where I guess like it can even generate worlds with multiple branching paths, and like then there's like also more where they say it can turbocharge environment design for humans, making it possible to step in and play from concept art, and then that's an ad. But yeah, so they've, I guess, made it's a collaboration with the people at Google DeepMind. That's where this comes from. And I'll have all these images, of course, like on the screen.
Coming to a Ubisoft game near you.
So what do we, just having seen those extra videos, where's your head at with this?
I mean, I don't like AI in gaming when it's used to actually try and generate games.
Yeah.
It didn't change the fact that the details of all those videos are a mess. I mean, yeah, like if you look at it, if you just back away and don't actually look at them very closely, they're fine, I guess. But how badly do I want a procedurally generated game, like a so-called infinite game? I like games that have a beginning and an end. I like games with a story.
Yeah.
Like, maybe what are they gonna make? Like an infinite runner or an infinite dungeon crawler? I mean,
the idea, if I'm gonna try to give it some credit, is basically like, have you ever maybe seen a rhetorical question, I guess, but have you ever like seen like, this cool piece of art of like this futuristic city or like some cool landscape and been like, what if that was like a video game world I could play in? And so you upload it to this thing and like, I guess it just scans it and like makes this short playable version of that world. That it's kind of like the, you can bring the picture to life sort of
I would
appeal.
almost call that art if it were not a worse version of the art you saw.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, I'm trying to give it some credit
I
here.
think there is art in taking a 2D static image and turning it into a 3D experience. But when it's AI, it's not actually doing a very good job of that.
It sours the taste a bit. I mean, also something I noticed here was that they say it can generate like up to a minute of playability,
right?
Which makes me think again of like, like the Coca-Cola commercial we were talking about a couple weeks back, where it's like you can't like linger on AI video frames for very long because they just quickly go to mush.
Yeah.
So I think that this probably is similar, where just like it can take this image and kind of like, I wonder how long this takes to generate too. Like I'm sure it's not instant because I imagine there's a lot of computation here, but like it can sort of generate this playable area, but the area's got to kind of have like a boundary to it, and I feel that would be based on outside of just what the limitations of like what the picture maybe has in it, but also just how long could this AI generated like area retain the idea of progress that you've made and like imagine more things for you to go and do. So it seems like it's very limited in that way.
Yeah, they didn't show it in the video, so I'm assuming they can't do it. I don't think you can go backwards. In my assumption is you probably can't go backwards in those games.
Yeah. I also imagine that like, even though you're able to move around said area, just based on the videos I saw, there's probably no interaction with anything. Like it's probably very much like, okay, you can walk around.
Well,
like
I feel like there would be interaction. I feel like if I walk towards a bookshelf and I tell the AI open the door, the books would kind of morph into a door and I'd open it because that's how AI works.
Yeah, so I thought it was kind of neat. Some Google DeepMind. Now here is something that is perhaps like sobering or something like that. Sam Altman, that's OpenAI's CEO. So okay. he's a controversial figure.
He's the OpenAI guy.
He says, my guess is we will hit AGI sooner than most people in the world think.
AGI?
And it will matter much less. Yeah, do you know about AGI? Have you heard about this concept?
What is it?
So in AI, there's like, obviously there's the concept of like AI, which is sort of like what we've got now.
Artificial intelligence.
But AGI stands for Artificial General Intelligence, which is like this level that AI has yet to reach, but in like science fiction, it's this idea that this is the point where AI is like now able to do general human things just as effectively as like humans are.
Oh, okay.
And so it can be used. So like right now there's kind of an understanding that like there's just limits to AI and like just what it can and can't do. And they're pretty well known for the most part. AGI is like that point where it's like, okay, the AI does whatever you can do just as well as you can, just as quickly as you can, just as, tangibly. That's the idea anyway. Then there's also super intelligence, which is like the next level, where that's where like AI has like exceeded human intelligence. It can solve things and generate things like beyond our wildest dreams. It's so much more efficient than us. That's the idea anyway. Well, anyways, this interview, here's how it goes. Nearly 2 years ago, OpenAI said that artificial general intelligence, the thing that the company was created to build, could elevate humanity and give everyone incredible new capabilities. Well, now CEO Sam Altman is trying to lower expectations. Sounds like things are not going quite as planned. He says, my guess is we will hit AGI sooner than most people in the world think, and it will matter much less, he said during an interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin at the New York Times DealBook Summit on Wednesday. And a lot of the safety concerns that we and others expressed actually don't come at the AGI moment. That's to say, like the moment that's, a thing. AGI can get built. The world mostly goes on in mostly the same way. Things grow faster, but then there's a long continuation from what we call AGI to superintelligence. Yeah. So, he's asserting that it will happen in 2025 and we'll reach like artificial general intelligence, but that it's not going to be as big of a deal as they maybe were billing it as a couple years ago.
No, I mean, it'll be a big deal, right? Because like if AGI is defined as artificial intelligence being just as capable as, let's say, like an average person, that promises to put lots of people out of jobs.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder if what he's saying here is supposed to be him kind of trying to like walk it back some so that people don't maybe get too scared of the concept, or that his company can maybe get more support for it.
It should be. If you're working one of those jobs where you feel like you can be replaced by another person, you'll definitely get replaced by AI.
Yeah, and I mean, that is ultimately their goal. He says that they want to automate the great majority of intellectual labor. So, it's interesting. One last thing that he says is, I expect the economic disruption to take a little longer than people think because there's a lot of inertia in society. So in the first couple of years, maybe not that much changes, and then maybe a lot changes. So,
yeah, that's what I see, the a lot changing.
Yeah, it got me thinking, like, from what I'm seeing of AI right now, and we'd have this conversation a lot. I know it's a hot button issue. I have still yet to see where AI has like changed life for the better, like so far. And this isn't even me saying like, oh, I just think it's all like slop. I do, by the way. It's ruined Google search results and like image sharing on the internet in general. But I'm just talking about like, has there been like any area of life that has been made significantly easier with AI? And I can't say that I've noticed anything. Have you?
I can't tell you, despite the fact that every product and every service I use wants to tell me about their new AI services, I don't feel like AI has done anything for me.
Yeah, like,
though, despite the fact that everybody wants me to buy the new AI enhanced products on the market.
Yeah, it's like, so what's that going to be? Like, I mean, is it, because they sit here and, I know like OpenAI has developed like GPT-4 and it can be like more conversational and handle longer conversations. And I guess like we do get stories where kids are cheating on their papers in school and, stuff like that. But I guess like I still have yet to see an application where like everybody's using this and it is making your life better. I guess it can write an email for you. It can, summarize a news article for you. And that's something. But like, that's it. I don't know.
That's still something you very well just could have done. I mean,
I guess it's just taking the edge off of thinking.
Yeah, a little bit less thinking. But I don't think thinking less is actually your life getting better.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit the opposite. I've actually been reading stories kind of unrelated to this article, or is related, about how more and more kids in schools are becoming afraid to like write and read now. Like just because of AI. Like, I
can see that.
Thanks to just the fact that it exists, it's like, I don't even want to start trying to like write this paper. I don't even want to start reading.
Will be worse than what the Chat GPT will output. So I'm just not going to do it.
Not to mention, if it's an assignment anyway, why would I not, I guess try to cheat and just use that. So, I mean, I guess it's making life easier if you're a student because you just have an easy out to even trying to do the work.
I know this movie comes up in a lot of conversations all the time, but it just reminds me of that movie Idiocracy, where automation and things made life so easy that we all just became a bunch of idiots.
It's so bizarre.
We just lived in indolence and ignorance.
What's kind of bizarre about like using AI to cheat in college, like college papers and stuff, is that like you paid to be in college. So it's kind of funky. Like college tuition's expensive, but like you're paying with the idea that like this degree that you get will, make your life better and you'll be all that stuff. So it's like then to go in and just try to cheat through it anyway is like a little weird.
Well, it's not that weird.
But I guess people always
on the other side, you also paid to fail because you will pay all this money for college, and then a professor is like, "Hey, you're not good enough. I'm gonna fail you," and it's like, so what's that mean? Well, now you got to retake the class, so I have to pay again. Yes, it's like I don't mind paying for college. I don't like paying to fail because I paid for you to teach me, but you failed at teaching me. And now I have to pay more.
That has always been one of my things about college so I get, because I totally get what you're saying. Like, you pay to go to college, and I think but it still uses this structure similar to like, elementary and high school, where like you're graded and you can pass and fail a course. But as far as I'm concerned, I think that like if you pay to go to college and then you sit in on these lectures, then you should get kind of the certification regardless. I know that that's a simplification of it. I know that there needs to be some degree of like proving that you have understood the concepts, but you're right that like the fact that a teacher or a professor can just sort of say like, oh, well, like your essay wasn't good enough, and so now you have like a D in this course, and so you just either have to pay and retake it, or that's just where this
drop
ends,
out and you wasted your time and money. In my like utopia world, for how I would fix like the education system, even though no one asked, once you pay for college, you are in it until they pass you. Now they don't have to pass you, but you don't have to then pay to retake your classes.
I get you, and I agree with that. I think that
at some point someone's got to say, "All right, it's my responsibility to teach your dumb ass. All right, you're gonna learn some economics today."
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be interesting because it would put more of the onus on professors to really do an effective job of it. Now, I guess there could maybe be some argument that a person might just troll. Like, I'm just going to choose to fail these and kind of just hang out here forever.
Just waste everybody's time.
But I don't know. That's those are our largely uninformed opinions about higher education.
I know that won't work. It's just
we're yapping.
It's a thought.
All right, before we get into doing some pot. I've got something that rhymes with it. Brain rot.
Oh, no.
Brain rot, Alec, was named the Oxford Word of the Year in 2024.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the Oxford Dictionary has now defined brain rot.
Okay, I'm very curious.
Yeah, following a public vote in which more than 37,000 people had their say, we're pleased to announce the Oxford Word of the Year for 2024 is brain rot. Yeah, our language experts created a short list of 6 words to reflect the moods and conversations that have helped shape the past year. After 2 weeks of public voting and widespread conversation, our experts came together to consider the public's input, voting results, and our language data before declaring brain rot as the definitive word of the year.
Thanks, social media.
Now, how would you define brain rot, Alec? Before I give their official definition.
I would define...
And I'll define it too before I read it.
Brain rot as... any type of like information that someone can take in that does not it can't be built upon. It does not provide any value, and it kind of just wastes your time.
Yeah, I've kind of, for me, I've described it as something akin to like just junk food content. I mean, empty calories even, where it's just like it's just stuff that, like, so when I get on like Instagram sometimes, I will just see these videos, and you've probably seen them, where it's like nothing is happening, but it is just a distraction.
Yes.
Like, it's just, okay, here is a person putting like some red, like they have like some red clay, and they'll like cut it up into pieces, and they'll go the other way and like cut that up into pieces. And now it's like,
God, Paul, like, that's some real brain rot.
And it's just like, yeah, like I don't watch it, but like I've seen that. It's like diced clay. Or it'll just be like...
I don't know if that's actually brain rot.
But yeah, I'm not even sure if that's brain rot, because it's not like bad. It's just sort of mindless, just satisfying stuff to watch. Maybe that's like a different thing.
If it's satisfying, that's like tickling a part of your brain and causing a chemical reaction.
So what's an example of brain rot for you?
At least for me, brain rot is like, Kendrick Lamar dropped his new album this past week.
Yeah.
And a brain rot video that I saw was someone made a video, as a little animated clip of like Drake crying to the songs on that album.
Yeah.
And it's like, I felt like that was just nonsense brain rot. I didn't gain anything from that. I didn't laugh. I didn't feel anything. It was just something on my screen for a time. I don't know. Like,
yeah. If you're listening, I'd like you to define, like, just before I even say this definition, I want to know what you define as brain rot. Because I think everybody kind of defines it a little differently. Like, for me, when I see those, like, here's just these two colors of clay being smushed together, like, I sometimes almost feel like that is brain rot, and they're like, it's eating away at my time, but like I don't walk away with anything. Some people say that like just TikTok in general, like just scroll, like it's interesting. But then you describe it as, at least your one example. I'm not saying it's like your full definition, but like your example of like, okay, it's like a GIF or whatever of like
just like
Drake, like just kind of crying, like just kind of in reaction to a piece of pop culture.
If it's like, cause it was like a cartoon Drake at that, it wasn't even an actual Drake. Like, if I watch something and there's nothing to come away with, like I only remember it because I was mad that I wasted like 5 seconds.
Well, here's how they define it. Brain rot is defined as the supposed deterioration of a person's mental or intellectual state, especially viewed as the result of overconsumption of material, now particularly online content, that is considered to be trivial or unchallenging. Also, something characterized as likely to lead to such deterioration. So, yeah, the experts noticed that brain rot gained new prominence this year as a term to capture concerns about the impact of consuming excessive amounts of low-quality online content on social media. The term increased in usage by 230% between 2023 and 2024.
Yeah, I feel like we can thank social media for this word coming into prominence and for it to be being so relevant. I think TikTok took it to another level with by creating short form content in the way that we view, because it's hard to make brain rot that's especially long, right?
Yeah, it's got to be that's a good point. It's
not impossible, but it's hard.
It's usually not that it's long, but that the overall experience of consuming it can go on for dangerously long. So like the brain rot itself might be like you said, like a GIF. It's like a little 3-second GIF or something, and it's funny and stupid or dumb, nonsensical. But like the idea that you can sit there and watch it over and over, or like scroll and find something that's similar, and then scroll and find something that's similar, and just like suddenly you've wasted 15, 20 minutes like just scrolling and kind of like not, as they describe it, like it's unchallenging. It's not stimulating content, but like it's just like I saw it and like it got this minor dopamine reaction out of me.
A good example, like how you know something is brain rot, and that that's why I took a very hard stance against TikTok early on, was because some people were so obsessed with the platform, and they would spend like 30 plus minutes just kind of like letting videos play on TikTok. Then if you asked them what they'd watch, they could never tell you. I don't know what I saw.
Which is like, so scary to me.
They have to go back and check what like who they sent them to know what they watched that day. And I feel like that's harder to do with longer form content. Yeah. I think to watch like a video for more than 8 minutes, it's hard for the video to provide you with no value.
That's
to
true.
Like keep doing it, right?
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations, just like off camera, about like how we've seen a lot of people, in our friends and family who, TikTok really took over, and you'll get these videos sent to you by people, and it's kind of like there's almost not even really. You're not like your reaction to it isn't particularly important because like it moves on. Because
as fast as they moved on to the next video, they already forgot they sent it to you.
Yeah, like they send a bunch and they kind of forgot that they sent it to you, and then like you're not even really meant to discuss what you saw, just that like, oh, I saw a thing that like vaguely is of interest.
Like one of the most common phrases I've had like told to me is, "What did I send you on TikTok?" And it's like, well, I don't know. This is a personal thing. I do not open TikTok sent to me. I don't have the app, and I don't want to have the app. So if someone sends me like a TikTok on like Facebook Messenger or just through text message, I just don't open it. I don't know what you sent me, so don't ask me. Neither of us know.
We just don't anymore. It's been used more specifically and consistently in reference to online culture, often used in a humorous or self-deprecating manner by online communities. It's strongly associated with certain types of content, including creator Alexei Gerasimov's viral Skibbity Toilet video series.
Oh, jeez. I did not want to hear that name.
Yeah, which featured humanoid toilets and user-generated only in Ohio memes, which reference bizarre incidents in the state. This content has given rise to emerging brain rot language, such as skibbity, meaning something nonsensical, and Ohio, meaning something embarrassing or weird, which reflects a growing trend of words originating in viral online culture before spreading offline to the real world. Yeah, I know.
You know, I remember hearing back in like primary schooling how, William Shakespeare invented like some percentage of the English language. This writer, this creator created words. And then we get into like words created on the internet and we're like, yeah, so skibbity and Ohio.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like these words take on a totally new meaning, and the shared understanding is that they're nonsense, but they get sense out of being nonsense. And I'm not even trying to sound like philosophical there. I'm literally like, the understanding is that skibbity means something that's kind of just ridiculous and off the wall, but we all agree that it means that.
Well, it's kind of like the word meme, right?
Yeah, true.
Because like meme is in the dictionary, it has a definition. It did not have I don't believe meme had a definition before we had internet memes. I know that there's the word memetic, which I think meme is loosely based off of, but meme means like exactly what we know it to be, and like it's a shame that the internet era has had so many advancements, and we've created so many things, and we've also created some of the most useless words in human history.
It feels like an evolution of that term terminally online. Like I remember hearing a lot about that. Like that was like a phrase that came up a lot last year, and it feels like it's the evolution of it. Terminally online was, I think, more associated with like the idea that your worldview and opinions and like personality has been shaped by just the fact that you are online so much that you've like kind of lost touch with reality. Mm-hmm. Brain rot seems like the small difference I notice is that like the content is specifically known to be like just it's unproductive content, and sometimes we even go like I've seen people go into it knowing that that's what they're like. I'm gonna decompress with some brain rot tonight. Like I've heard people like
I mean, I remember before this day and age, I think a popular kind of brain rot were like cat and like puppy videos. I remember we used to call that like
serotonin,
like eye bleach. Like typically, like if you ever if you watch a horror movie or something particularly like disturbing, you could go and watch like a video of like puppies playing or like a kitten like taking a nap, and it would kind of help you reset after whatever horrific thing you just saw.
Yeah.
In a weird way, that was kind of like brain rot. Those videos were nothing, but sometimes you need
the brain rot. But if someone has a better definition for brain rot or like has an opinion on it, it feels like the last part I'll say on it too is it almost feels like it's got this weird like difficult to resist quality to it. It seems like people are having like I've heard it. People they engage in sort of the brain rot and then later can reflect on the fact that like, yeah, what I'm watching is definitely brain rot, but like I can't help myself.
I think there's some degree of modern day human nature. I think it connects to escapism, where we want to be able to disassociate from reality, and following something with a narrative that has a message trying to teach you something or like tell you a story is still very active.
It's asking but maybe too much at the time.
A skibbity whatever video where everything kind of your brain just kind of shuts down and you just kind of let whatever is happening on screen take you away.
I know I said it was dumb, but like this last thing is I do think of like the whole like when we were teenagers, like younger teenage, like think almost like 12, 13, 14 teenager. Random is funny was like a whole sense of humor, like random words. Like, do you remember like people, like I remember people would say like words like bacon were funny for some reason. Like
I was thinking of chicken butt.
Yeah, chicken butt. Also, like I lost the game.
Oh, I hate
Do you remember
that.
stuff like that? Like just
There goes my fun. Now I'm not having fun anymore.
yeah, like I don't know. It's like it didn't really mean anything, but like it, whatever. So brain rot's the word of the year.
Yeah. You know what? I remember we didn't use the word brain rot, but I think back when like SpongeBob SquarePants was a thing, I would just if I knew the word brain rot then, I would have described SpongeBob as brain rot.
It's funny because like I think these days SpongeBob would honestly qualify as like more intellectual humor than some of the skibbity stuff that you see online, and that's saying something.
Yeah, I know.
Well, here's the good cure for brain rot. Pot.
Wow.
Let's answer some questions from the pot of greed.
Okay, I'm down.
These are the weekly viewer submitted questions. If you want to submit one for the pot, you can do so at the link in the video description. We would love to hear from you. And yeah. Also a good reminder, by the way, if you're not a channel member, you can certainly consider becoming one to support the podcast. And also make sure that you like the video, giving it a thumbs up, pushes it out to more people on YouTube. It is time now to dig into the pot and draw 2 cards each.
Well, these questions got chunky.
I tried to write them with better handwriting this week.
No, I can read them, but it's chunky now.
Thanks, I appreciate the compliment.
We have starter and structure decks, but what if Konami made a third, higher level one that is quote unquote meta out of the box? This is from, is that Dre?
Dre, yeah. Dre submits a lot of questions I've seen. Okay.
So a next level to the deck system.
Yeah, so yeah, he's saying, I guess, the starter decks are kind of the basic thing.
Yep.
The structure decks are accessible, but like oftentimes not really competitive. There have been exceptions.
Right.
But even in those cases, you still need to like buy 3 and then maybe get some other stuff. So I guess he's positing a deck that is like, you buy this and like you can win or something.
So we'll call them meta decks, you know,
Yeah.
the next level to a structure deck. I think
The level 3.
in order to have this level 3 deck, I don't think it would be a product that you need to buy 3 of. I feel like at that point it would need to be a deck that I only need 1 copy of, maybe 2, but not 3. Definitely not.
I guess
3.
ideally 1, because like
Yeah,
what
ideally
does it say if it's like, yeah, this is like the product to compete. This is the meta deck, but you got to buy 2. So it's like it's not. Really
And that's weird. We're a
fulfilling.
3 of game, so like when would you ever need 2?
So it should be something that is all in one. But carry on.
Yeah. So this meta deck, I would like it to be a all in one kind of deck. Which I don't know if Konami would like that, because I think they like the fact that we're so used to buying 3 ofs of these decks.
Yeah, I think it's difficult for a company to release a product that you're only supposed to buy once.
At least in the trading card game
Yeah, to be
space,
clear. Yeah, like in the trading card game space, I remember actually hearing through the grapevine that is why Duel Devastator never got a sequel product, was because you could buy 1 Duel Devastator and effectively have everything you need.
Right.
Now, I guess like you could still buy 3 to get, you know, like your playset of things, but just the idea was that there was no like pull element to it. Starter and structure decks are allowed to be static products, but I think anything outside of that, Konami would probably prefer. You need to kind of have some sort of a like an RNG component. But anyway.
And then so it would need to be something where you only need to buy 1. That also make me feel like this is a next level sort of product.
So it's gotta, if that's the case, then it's gotta have multiples in it.
Like it has to have like 3
It cannot
of
shy away from having 3
Yeah.
ofs, 2 ofs.
It has to have 3 ofs, and
Here's my thing. Oh, sorry, well, you first.
I was gonna say I guess that it would not necessarily be. I guess it still could be a new strategy, right?
Mine was that was actually an interesting thought that I had, was should it be something that is new or should it be something that is existing? Because if it is something new, then it's a little weird for Konami to outright say that it's competitive. Do you get what I'm saying? Because like that's like
They wouldn't say it. It would kind of like how Bandai does their advanced decks.
Yeah, like it'd be a weird thing to just tell someone, yeah, like this product will be good that like we're releasing, because then that sort of implies that we knowingly just
we make worse
made
products.
it better, and that there are some products that we like willingly nerfed. So yeah, I think it would probably be better for it to be based around existing strategies. I think of like the tactical tri decks that Japan got. Feels like a pretty good example of this, where those had hand traps. They had like staples, like droplet and lightning storm and
calling
stuff.
them meta wouldn't be, but they would be a step up over a structure deck.
Exactly, yeah. It's better than a structure. It's not like meta, but I mean you can do something with this single copy of these. Right. A question that I had too is like, or not a question, but I guess a suggestion. It's got to have like an extra deck and a side deck, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Like I know the extra decks have been getting bigger in structures recently. Like lately they've been willing to give them like 6 or 7 like cards in the extra.
It's unrealistic to be giving us like one extra deck card when like the extra deck is kind of the most important part of Yu-Gi-Oh now.
Yeah, so it's good that they've been doing that. You'd have to have that. I'd be interested in seeing if they would give you a side deck though, because that would effectively be like they're telling players, yeah, this is for you to take into like a tournament setting where you will use this side deck based on the matchups that you encounter. So
that's a little rough because it would have to be tailored to the format and
yeah, it gets a little weird. I mean, I guess that with Yu-Gi-Oh, you just give generic stuff like some spell trap removal, some of the more like matchup dependent hand traps like the DD Crows and Artifact Lancia type beat.
Right.
Maybe a Floodgate or 2, whichever are left. I know they've been banning a lot of them.
Get you an Evenly and a Lightning Storm.
Yeah, some Evenlys and Lightning Storm, just some mass removal. Like that'd be. I mean, I think I could get behind a product like that. How much does it cost?
Still what's like the MSRP of our structure decks?
Structure decks right now are like $12.99, I think. So
I would. People might disagree. I would make it double.
I would say not quite double, but like $19.99.
Nah, it's got to be 20.
You think like? Well, that is 20.
I mean 20 plus.
Oh, so you're thinking like $24, $25. Yeah. Maybe that wouldn't be that bad because like Pokemon does that. I think like those Pokemon like level 3 decks or whatever are usually close to that much. So maybe that isn't such a bad price.
I think this is more of a marketing thing. I think players would see the higher price. They would see the 3-ofs.
The perception of value.
The perception, yeah. It would line up with the perception this is supposed to be a out-of-the-box competitive deck. Right.
I'm a fan of it. I think that. So, do you think that this would like have a good place in the ecosystem? Like that they could just make this and it'd be pretty successful?
I mean, it's still easier said than done because I don't know what they would make into a into one of these
doesn't
like meta
Pokemon
decks?
do the thing where it's like they just do the last year's World Championship deck?
They do
that's like
that.
proxies.
Yep.
But that wouldn't work with Yu-Gi-Oh because like the meta changes too fast and
it changes fast, and then it's like, are they going to be proxy cards like they're illegal, or are they going to be legal?
We're going to assume they're legal.
And if they are legal, there are some cases where that would decks will be so new after they win worlds, and now we're going to bomb the value because
so basically to sum it up, good idea. I'm just not actually sure Konami would want to do it because I feel like they might feel that it threatens recent products too much. Like, because one today, like if we were to just do a meta, like tier 3 deck today.
Tier 1.
Yeah. Level 3, that's maybe the better word for it. A level 3 deck, assuming level 1 is starter deck, level 2 is structure deck, level 3 is this meta competitive out of the box thing. So it would have to have like, I mean, are you going to put Molcharmies in there? You're going to put Dominus Impulse in there?
Come on, Konami,
because we're claiming you can like kind of do well in the tournament. So they would, yeah. But good idea. I'm in support of it. I just don't know that Konami is likely to do something like it. But I would like it. Okay, here's another question. Any duel ideas that you tried to film, like the hot sauce challenges, but that ended up being impractical just ended up being impractical to film?
There have been so many instances of us turning on a camera and then turning it off and then kind of like wallowing in defeat.
Yeah, for sure. We've tried to do a lot of crazy fun like theme duels, and some are just like let's look at some examples. Sometimes it's like just a variation or an offshoot of like the hot sauce challenge. Like there was one with some sour candy that we got that was apparently...
Oh, it was so sour.
Yeah, we never did that.
It was way more manageable than you think.
There's also, we tried to do one like the one chip challenge. I don't think that ever came together.
The one chip challenge thing...
That put us in...
It ended with... Well, it was me, you, and Victor, right?
Yeah, we were just like playing
the 3 of us, we were on the floor...
Breathing.
Like gagging, vomiting...
Because sometimes I'll try to like, before I put someone like Trell or Larry or whatever through this challenge. I'm like, okay, we have to make sure that this isn't going to actually send somebody to the hospital. Like hot sauce challenges usually don't, because it's like an escalating hot sauce thing. It's kind of brutal towards the end, but it's not so bad. But like that one ship thing, I think would have actually like could poison someone. Like that was awful.
Oh, I hate it. There is technically a video of us with the one
trying
chip.
To eat it. Yeah, if I can dig that up.
I don't know where it is, but it starts off with the three of us on camera, and very quickly we are off camera.
Yeah, that was disgusting. Now, as for just things that are like literally difficult or cumbersome to film, we've had tag duel. I think would be the number one.
I want to say we've attempted 2 tag duels that we could not.
There are like a total of, I think, 2 or 3 tag duels on the Team APS channel that have been like filmed and uploaded. However,
we've attempted it a few more times. It's just, it's always so tough to actually get like a proper camera that can film everything. We would need a camera on the ceiling.
Yeah. Which like
we need a few cameras on the ceiling.
With some of those like Magic the Gathering channels, like the Professor and like the Command Zone, like they have like just those whole installations because, they're much larger channels and they can just, they have deemed it's like worthwhile to have this complete ceiling rigged thing. We're a little more modular than that. So we have not
we just have
really found a way to do that. We had a really good tag duel that was like, me and Trell versus you and Larry, and we filmed it, but like it turned. This was like some months back.
I'm trying to remember it.
Yeah, we were doing it with battle packs or something.
Oh yeah, okay, I do remember that.
But the main problem was like just there was so much glare on like one side of the field, and then I just
uneven lighting.
So I wasn't able to really like release it, and I was like, I thought about maybe just releasing the uncut version, but. You literally could not see the cards on one field. And I was like,
now if you rewind back to like 2014, 2015, Paul would have uploaded that.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that actually, it's funny you mentioned that because that does sometimes feel like something I wish I could reclaim, and I'd like to maybe reclaim like next year or something. It's like that willingness to just upload stuff. Because like when you get into YouTube, like early on, we were in the dorms of our university that we went to.
We had bad audio, bad lighting.
Audio sucked. Cameras would run out of batteries randomly. Like things were so bad, and like lighting was inconsistent. Sometimes we were just filming with natural light, and so it's just totally dictated by time of day.
Yep.
And I would still upload those duels, and like some of them ended up being really popular, and like people were willing to just sit through that. And now I have like this. A somewhat higher bar of like, oh, I can't upload this. Like people won't be able to see the cars and they'll complain and So yeah, there are like I would have probably uploaded that in like 2014 or something.
And not just duels. I mean, we've had skits and stuff that
yeah, we've had some skits we've tried to film.
Didn't come together.
They didn't come together. Like I wanted to do like an action duel once. I remember.
Oh, the action duel!
I even ordered a proxy deck of action cards, and I'm so mad because I would like the. I don't even know what happened to those, but like we were gonna like run around and like find cards in bushes and stuff, and like.
But it was hard to define what.
Like how it's so like it sounds fun, but it's so tough to like decide like okay like what are the. Is there going to be any structure to this whatsoever? Like, how do you film this?
It's like, hey guys, let's run around and act crazy. All right, so but why? That I don't know yet. How are we going to shoot it? I'm also not sure about it. Because we like if we're running around grabbing cards. Like
from what
how's
angle
the
is
camera?
Shot? Like
how's the camera following us? Is it static? How are we getting the audio? Are we wearing lav mics? Is there a boom mic? Like,
and then also you're like recording outside, which introduces so gosh darn many variables.
Wind, random people,
like just sunlight and lighting. It's a whole mess. I want to be clear. I mean, I'm not above doing those ideas. I've said for a while, I want to get back to like skits and zaniness and stuff. It's just sometimes like you still have to have like some structure to how you film it. So yeah, but plenty of duels that we have recorded and just have not been able to upload.
What is something you find easier and also something it got smudged? It's like harder when dueling for content. Okay.
Oh, that's a good related question.
So easier. I think the easiest thing when it comes to dueling for content is not caring about whether I win or lose.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's actually the easiest thing is like when you're dueling for content. First of all, some context for this. I guess what this person is saying is just that like, when we're dueling.
Basic nerd.
Yeah, oh, of course, it's Basic Nerd, right? It's like the best question submitter. Him and Dre, they submit the questions. I'm telling you, they have a lot to say. Good on you guys. It's not a mark against you. But yeah, like, you know, when filming in front of a camera, like, you know, we've got this top-down rig, we've got these face cams. We're kind of we're filming it with the intention of it being a YouTube video. So that's some context for that. But
yeah,
anyway.
but you know, we're shooting for entertainment of other people, and you know, when you play Yu-Gi-Oh, you know, for fun at your, you know, card shop, you know, during a tournament or whatever, you know, you really want to win because it's the entire purpose of the game. But when we turn on a camera and pick up cards, the purpose of the game is not actually winning. It's about a third party enjoying it.
Yeah, and with that, I will say come a lot of challenges.
As it comes the harder part.
Some parts, like on our end, some are just kind of on the Yu-Gi-Oh end. Like, you know, on our end, the challenge is we have this rule that, like, when we play a card, we say the card and we give an explanation of it.
We try to be as clear as possible when it comes to playing cards and activating effects.
But the thing is, like, we don't want it to seem like lifeless. So, like, we always, you know, have to remind people and remind ourselves, like, okay, you don't read the effect of the card. You summarize what it does.
Yeah, I summon Jane, Lightsworn Paladin. It's a level 4 warrior monster. If this card attacks an opponent's monster against ranged attack during the damage step only, during each of your end phases, send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard.
See, that's bad.
I'll do how I would do it in a video is, so I'll summon Jane, the Lightsworn Paladin. So Jane actually gains attack during battle, and during the end phase, I have to mill 2 cards.
Yes. There's a subtle difference there where you're kind of trying to keep it brisk, but still let people know what's going on. There are a lot of people who will watch these videos and it's like either their first time watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Or like maybe they're kind of an old school person and they're watching a new school theme duel. Like, right, a theme duel that we're working on right now is like Yugi's Shining Sarcophagus deck versus like Grandpa's Millennium deck. We're going to be filming that pretty soon. And like that's kind of tough because those cards do have a lot of effects. And so you have to decide like, how quickly can I say what this does, but not just read the text off the card?
And some part is actually leaving parts off. Like, if I played that Jane in a duel, I would not read out its end phase effect when it's my main phase.
Yeah. So, like, that's kind of a bit of a challenge sometimes. Also, just modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Poses this challenge of, like, this comes up a lot when, like, you're doing theme duels is balancing power levels. Yeah. Because so many modern decks now just
blow each other out the water.
Just blow each other out of the water. Like, you know, you're trying to make this fun little theme duel between like Stardust Dragon and Red Dragon, but then what you quickly find out is that A, the combos are long as hell, and then B, when they're done, they're making a field that negates everything. And
it's not a matter of, one deck is stronger than another. It's that whichever deck goes first locks the other one out.
Yeah, to the extent that like we kind of have to have this almost gentleman's agreement of like, okay, Stardust is going to go first, do this fancy long 50-year-long combo, but then when Red Dragon takes its turn, the Stardust player is going to not negate any of the stuff while the Red Dragon player is like building their...
Yeah, at least not their like starting plays. I look at it a bit like... there's like this rule in competitive chess. I forget what you call it, but both players set up their opening boards before they start playing, essentially.
Yeah,
and that's how I had to look at the Stardust and Red Dragon game, where we need to allow each other to build a board, even if it's not optimal, but we'll both build a board and then we'll fight.
Yeah, and it can be tough because there's sort of a suspension of disbelief there for the audience, where people are like, "Oh, why didn't Alec just negate Paul's starting card?" Because then the video would have ended.
Yes.
Like, and that's usually the answer is, you know, it's the same as like, you know, why didn't you make an IP and an Apollosa as your inboard here? Well, because we're trying to like stay on theme and like keep it fun and just show these decks on their own merits, not just the fact that like, yeah, they can make a Barone and an IP and stuff. It's like, but then you're not really getting to see this decks thing. You're just, you know, so.
And then the last, but probably one of the most important challenges, Yu-Gi-Oh is hard enough when playing with your friends or in tournament. It's like 10 times harder to do that on camera.
Keeping up with, just game state stuff, rulings. Like
it can be a bit of a nightmare depending on the type of deck you're playing. Doing it on camera is rough.
It's so tough to like recite combos, remember game states. And the worst part is that like when you do make a mistake, people in the comments are
They will tear you up.
Yeah, people tear you up. I appreciate that people watch this stuff, and I'm glad that they like are paying enough attention to like want to leave a comment. I know that that's a net good thing, but sometimes it like makes me so upset because I'm just like, man, you guys don't understand. Like, we're not trying to misplay on purpose. We're not like choosing to be ignorant, but it's just that like there's so much to keep up with, and I dare you to like set up 3 cameras and like kind of set up this duel thing and try to play and announce the cards and explain the effects and make it sort of entertaining and then not make any mistakes in that. It will happen to the best person.
Like, it is easier said than done. Hell, I remember when we were doing those early like structure deck duels. Like,
I know.
What, Dark World versus Crystal Beast?
Yeah, like stuff like that. Oh god, that's another thing.
Like, we would get those decks with like 1 day to read the cards for the first time, and now it's time to play our theme duel.
Yeah, sometimes that comes up a lot. Same with like eBay duels and stuff, even where like okay,
those are just chaos.
Those are chaos, and like you're getting these random ass cards, and like I still remember to this day, like somebody got mad at Chris in one of these videos, and they were like, yeah, like he made like Masked Hero whatever without like a wind monster or something like that, and he was like trying to cheat like Alex in this duel, like he was trying to cheat his friends. I couldn't believe it, like this blatant cheating. I can't watch this, and I'm just like, it's so hard to watch these misplays, and like people will comment that, and I'm just like, I swear, if I was to give you like eBay decks, like just random 60 cards of trash from eBay, and like you get 5 minutes to kind of try to play this.
Read, sleeve, play.
Like, and sometimes we were recording on some tight timetables. You know, people's time's limited, or it's like a sponsored thing or whatever.
And the video's got to be out in some amount of time.
Or, you know, Alec and I in particular, like we're some real troopers. We have recorded things
and edited that bad boy the same night.
Yeah, we have recorded some things at like 12 midnight. And like recorded all night long, and it's like, okay, we got to get this out by tomorrow, like afternoon. So
be getting up stupid early in the morning to cut a duel down.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, it's dedication, but like it's rough. Anyway, though, hopefully that was some fun insight into.
I had fun answering
some of the process. All right, final question for me: if you were tasked with creating a new Yu-Gi-Oh anime, what would you want in it? Man, get a rough one to end it off with too. I've got a basic idea of what I would want. And I can't go into a lot of detail on it because, I mean, like, it's a whole anime, so I don't know what you're really supposed to do. But I want a Yu-Gi-Oh anime that is based in, like, old times. I'm tired of these. With each progressive anime, they've gotten more and more futuristic. I want like, a look into the past.
You want it based in 2001.
Yeah, even that. I mean, I want something that's, like, kind of medieval or, like, kind of...
Medieval with cards?
Or even just, like, give me something that's maybe, like... steampunk feeling. Like, because each time that we do this, it's just holographic solid vision technology, and they're in Neo Domino City and like all this stuff, and the dual gazers and the vrains. Like, I want something where we like take it back, where maybe the monsters are still getting summoned, but now the explanation is that like it's through magic, like actual just magic is summoning the creatures as opposed to holograms. And like the rules of Yu-Gi-Oh are more or less like the same, but I want to see like what could be explored in that setting, you know, compared to just these increasingly futuristic environments. But you?
What if we abandon the core idea of Yu-Gi-Oh, and now the new Yu-Gi-Oh anime just takes place in a like in-lore monster world? Maybe it takes place in the world of Diabell Star. Maybe it takes place in the World Legacy world, and they tell a story about those monsters as characters.
So you're more on that train of like that Chronicle Saga or whatever?
Yeah, let's just jump right into like the Yu-Gi-Oh lore. You know, if we don't want to go the like boy finds a mysterious puzzle and now...
Oh, yeah. I mean, 100... Yeah, to be clear, I'm more in favor of what you were saying. Like, I took this question to mean like, okay, you're making like a sequel to Vrains, like another just mundane Yu-Gi-Oh anime, then I would want it to be like an older setting.
I was thinking of a Yu-Gi-Oh type anime.
But yeah, if we're talking like just Yu-Gi-Oh anime of some kind, 110%. Give us like the Diabell story. Give us World Legacy. You know,
give me a mecha anime about double A Zeus.
I was rewatching the Pokemon Generations little shorts the other night. Like they'd make like these like kind of 5-6 minute long things from just iconic moments in the Pokemon games.
Everybody's seen them.
Yeah, their videos were really very popular, and I was like this is what Yu-Gi-Oh's little chronicle thing could be. It's just okay, we get a 5-minute short on like the Necroz story, or like each of them. I don't know. That'd be great.
We take it a step further and we make an entire movie.
Or that. Either way, I mean, whatever they decide to do, it does feel like Yu-Gi-Oh's a bit empty right now without an anime airing.
Right.
And I know, before someone says it, I know about Go Rush and stuff, but like, you know what I mean. Like, there's not like a main Yu-Gi-Oh anime going on right now, and that kind of...
It's a shame, but I think Konami's gonna cook something soon. Not Konami, but like Viz and Shueisha and all them.
Yeah, I'm sure they got something in mind. Anyway, that's all of the pot questions for the day.
That's it. We're out of cards.
Yeah. Also got a little quick announcement for you channel members. First of all, we appreciate you, but that's not an announcement.
Love y'all.
That's just the norm. But we're not going to be doing a bonus episode this week because we are on a bit of a tight timetable. So we will be back next week with the bonus episode as per usual. But this time there won't be one. Maybe we can make it up to you with something fun.
We'll find a way to make it up. I've got some ideas.
But yeah, we still do appreciate that you guys are channel members. If you're not a channel member,
it bottoms out immediately. They all end right now. Oh,
yep, this is
no
all
bonus?
I was in it for.
I'm out.
The specific December the 5th bonus episode. The fact that
no, we actually really do enjoy doing them and want to do actually more. We don't want to do less. We want to do more.
Yeah, we're actually trying to see if we can maybe do some sort of like a live podcast at some point, because everybody always asks about it. But like, no promises on that.
If we were to ever do a live one, I felt like we should do it just for the members first, just to see how it goes. You know?
Yeah. But anywho, that's this week's Pot of Greed. Somehow we managed to turn not a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh news into over 2 hours again. So
we're professional yappers at this point.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. One last little thing too is that we just passed 97,000 subscribers over on APS Amplifier.
Let's go.
So almost at 100K.
Wait, 100K, isn't that a silver play button?
That's a silver play button.
That's hilarious.
We might just be getting it soon. Anyways, thanks for joining us this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Yeah.
We will see you guys in the next one, hopefully with some new Gundam swag.
Yeah, perhaps so. Pass
turn.